Yeah, free the realness. What we waiting for? We know that they won't stop the war. Hard-working people break a sweat as they mop the floor. Economic crisis, no one's got the money stuck indoors. Battle for the soul and the mind, it's like tug of war. They can't have my freedom, breaking free outside the system. Mental prison, they indoctrinate from when you're infant. Demons trembling, I chase off Satan's minions. Satan is a liar, I don't play with his opinion. Chase them down, get them out, we don't mess about. Darkness can't reside in here, better light and cast them out. Chase them down, get them out, we don't mess about. Darkness can't reside in here, better light and cast them out. What's it like when the people at the top rent all the poor? All their resources and more. Bite your tongue but we ain't holding back no more. Thousands in the square, we know the score. Buy a kettle, save a tenner. Boris, what you take us for? Walk a mile inside a shoe. Demons hide inside of you. Rishi Sunak, Liz, I cannot trust every one of you. Puppets of the shadow, we know they rebranded flu. Had the people scared of breathing air. Was it even really true? Chase them down, get them out, we don't mess about. Darkness can't reside in here, better light and cast them out. Chase them down, get them out, we don't mess about. Darkness can't reside in here, better light and cast them out. People stand together, psyop cannot get us ever. Free the realness and the scientists, they try and censor. Cancel culture, it's a snowflake error. Not forever, tell them pussies I don't cater to them ever, ever. Chase them down, get them out, we don't mess about. Darkness can't reside in here, better light and cast them out. Chase them down, get them out, we don't mess about. Darkness can't reside in here, better light and cast them out. Chase them down, get them out, we don't mess about. Darkness can't reside in here, better light and cast them out. Chase them down, get them out, we don't mess about. Darkness can't reside in here, better light and cast them out.
As soon as we started, we going hard, you know about our shit. Flows retarded, so if you love to party, go ahead, grab somebody, jump up and down, bang and jump around. The sounds of OCDs is started. Yo, let's tear the roof off this bitch. It's OCD, who's ready for the switch? It's blatant. These boys ain't complacent. Shake the foundation, the seed in the basement. Part-time MCs, change your placement, it's obvious. Your efforts are wasting. Ask the question, who are you rating? Who blows up the party without the creating? OCD. Short for amazing, original ciphers, different directions, transient beings, cast no reflection, still leave you sweating from heat in the session. Heads are spinning for facts that we mentioned, cerebral low, lost with attention. How could it be? The power we manifest, lyrical advocates further the album. Ill, cerebral, a snipe with the topless. You know that's me, I'm the dude with the hot shit. OCD, saying never gonna stop this. Bang your heads like you stuck up in a mosh pit. Rock kids, mix it and rap, make the crowd go wild. DJ, pull it back. Lost kids, locked in the flats, open up closed doors when they hear this track. Sun is shining. The weather is sweet. You're listening to the sound of OCD. We just came to party. It's obvious as soon as we started. We going hard, you know about our shit. Flows retarded, so if you love to party, go ahead, grab somebody, jump up and down, bang and jump around. The sounds of OCDs is start. We just came to party. It's obvious as soon as we started. We going hard, you know about our shit. Flows retarded, so if you love to party, go ahead, grab somebody, jump up and down, bang and jump around. The sounds of OCDs is started. We make the realest kind of beats and breaks in it. OCD's in the game to win it. You've had 21 seconds, let me roll for a minute. Jump up, roll around and get with it. Maximum boost to all MCs that kill it. Yo, this is how we live it. Only gravity can hold me down, that's the law of physics. Time to raise your spirits, more energy than nuclear fission. Bang heads all side of the kingdom. Badder than bad on every system, every fashion and style that I'm bringing. Collect like minds, lose its religion. Gain knowledge and build wisdom. OCD is the clip on a mission. Now listen.
how do I put it? It was like, what do you care about them? What do you care about those people? What difference does it make to you? Take care of your own life. Do the best you can for you and your family. What do the rest of the people mean to you? They don't mean anything to you. They're just serfs. They're just people. You know, what's the end goal? The end goal is to get everybody chipped, to control the whole society. They want a one-world government controlled by them. Everybody has an RFID chip implanted in them. And if you're like me or you, and you're protesting what they're doing, they can just turn off your chip.
It's Friday night, we're back. It's the one and only
Rise above, generate, rise above, extinguish fear, rise above.
Welcome back, Andy PG.
That's awesome.
Shalom.
Shalom,
Shalom, peasants.
Shalom, Michael. Oh, can we shut that door?
We
That
can
looks
shut.
terrible on camera. Big shout out to everyone tuned in. First things first, let us know that we sound crystal clear. Do we look good? Is this the kind of quality that you would expect
It's fucking boiling
from
in
a
here.
Rise Above podcast? Right. Big shout out to everyone in the comments. Andy Paddy 33, Liga Lister, Seaman Dragon, Ratis Liaison Officer, Milwana, Pamela Swan. Big shout out to our moderators, all our affiliates, all the Rhymish community. Welcome back. We're live and it's Friday night.
You're errant, which means you're a problem.
So tonight we have got a very interesting guest.
Raw.
And he's going to be coming up at about 1:30.
This is a holographic construct.
Guy Anderson is going to be talking about his new book, The Rise of the Clones. He seems to be some sort of Tartaria expert. We're very pleased to have him on the show and to be talking to him a little bit later on.
Maybe it's the real Tartaria, Michael, not the psyop.
Yeah. Let's get down to business with that later on. I'll tell you what, Andy PG, we've been pretty busy recently, right?
Spice. We've been very busy the last 2 weeks here.
We've been absolutely caning it. If you have seen any of the viral clips of Rise Above on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, going viral of what we've been up to, give me some flames or explosions. You want the phone charger, baby? Okay, let me get you the phone charger. It's right in the middle of the show, but I'll still get you the phone charger.
So yeah, I mean we've been at it. We went to into Bournemouth on the front line of the migrant 19 crisis on Saturday for the protest. We also went for we got invited, didn't we, Lance, by some our new local security team.
Can we get this cable? Right.
There we go.
There you go, Empress. Oh, let me get it for you.
Did you just throw that on the floor?
There you go.
The Empress has had a slight injury this week, so she's not very...
It's not a slight injury. So, so have we got any flames in the comments? Yeah, people have seen it. We're getting hundreds in the last 7 days on TikTok.
They fucking love us on
What's
TikTok.
going on with this camera? We got 270,000 views in the last 7 days in TikTok, so we are going pretty viral. Now, like Andy PG said, we attended the protest. We're not even going to talk about what happened. You're going to have to watch the footage. And the best way to do that is obviously to subscribe to Patreon, because I've got to tell you that AJ is an absolute legend. He was there filming with us on the day, and the footage that we got and what actually happened is next level. There is a 1 hour, 33 minute feature length pro-edited special, and it's coming out on a Sunday night on Patreon. And I'm not exaggerating. It's great and it's funny.
Yeah, it is.
Some
It's
very
funny.
entertaining stuff happened.
I'm particularly looking forward to the Book of Joshua.
Oh, that will be a special follow-up.
That will be a special follow-up.
That's going to be a special
So
follow-up.
keep an eye out, guys, for the Book of Joshua.
Yeah, lots of funny characters were encountered. Rise Above TV is now known in Bournemouth. Let's put it that way.
By the authorities as well as everyone else.
So if you want to get the full footage, you have to sub to Patreon, guys. It's coming out Sunday night. The other thing that we've been up to is we were covering on the street this story of Safeguard Force, which is getting a lot of stick in the mainstream media, national and local media.
Juby News, BBC, Channel 4.
They're doing patrols on the streets of Bournemouth to try and keep the streets safe, and they invited us to go along, and we filmed, we interviewed them, and we wanted to see what they were up to.
We went for a walk with them. Went on patrol with them.
Yep. We even did our own little patrol.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
That's
yeah,
only
did,
available on Patreon, by the way.
Yeah.
That came out on Patreon last night, if you want to see that. It will be released on YouTube tomorrow night.
That's the story with the woman from in the Celebrity Hotel as well.
Yeah, that's not on the YouTube version. That is only on
yeah.
the Patreon version.
Yeah.
So
yeah, guys, get over to Patreon.
you have to get over to Patreon. And listen, I am absolutely knackered after the last week or so with all the work we've been putting in. Not only just, out on the streets getting the footage, but obviously, planning with the event and everything. I'll tell you, this is going to be the last live show until October. We need a break in the month of September to recapitulate and to recharge. But of course, we will still be recording Patreon videos. Me and Andy PG will just meet once a week, and we will still be keeping up with Patreon because I hate to say it, that really is that is the core of Rise Above now.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
The Friday night show, as far as I'm concerned, for you guys, and don't get me wrong, we still love doing it.
We've got some awesome stuff planned in the pipeline as well, guys.
Yeah. The Friday night show really is the icing on the cake nowadays. The real Rise Above is to be found on Patreon. We put in the last couple of weeks, we've been putting out 3 or 4 videos a week.
Yeah. And they're not short either.
We did it just midweek Raw. Coming out next week is 2.5 hours. Yeah,
mate, there was so much of content.
We've got the event next
Cloudwell's
week.
just been throwing fucking content.
Rise Above's been going viral. I'm having a new kitchen fitted. It's a very tumultuous time here at Rise Above HQ.
It's at least fucking 133 degrees.
It's
here
133 degrees here. There's lots more going on as well. What's this? Ashley Styles is saying, oh no, Raw always clashed with UNN and they're away until October. So we're having a break at the same time as UNN. There's quite a few people that like us that also like UNN. We like them too. We went on 2 of their shows, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, yeah.
And one of the guys I know is the first one
Chris.
No, that was the second guy. The first guy we spoke to, I think he's coming to the event. He's on the guest list +1. Right, let's talk about the event because it's only a week away, guys. We're really not mucking about with the Rise Above Hotel Weekender. It's 3 days.
What the fuck is going on here, Lance?
Oh, mate, there's just wires everywhere. Wow. We need to recapitulate this whole fucking studio, to be honest. We really do. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes. Right, let me just get the QR code up. You need to know, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, once again, we're taking over Hotel Celebrity. Martin Leaker, allegedly Dave, Graham Moore is our 3 main speakers.
That's awesome.
We've even got Archaics joining us
This is a holographic construct.
virtually for a big panel discussion on the Sunday night. We've got the Raw Academy with things like Wisdom of Mushrooms, Toroidal Dynamics, Richard Ryder online digital nomad training, Althea Finch pain free. So we've got loads of learning in the Raw Academy too. Nightly after parties, stall holders. I've still got space for 2 stalls if anyone wants to come and sell their bespoke wares. A ticket for your stall for the weekend is only 50 quid for the stall. 3 days of trading. And obviously the after party each night. Tom W's, Ryan Sanders, Veg. We've got Johnny Fogg, Magic's Boomer Disco. Get your tickets now, guys. Who was the last person to buy a ticket earlier
I've
today?
got it here, actually. Shout out to
Neil. Big shout to Neil. We'll see you there, mate. So yeah, guys, it's 1 week away. A week today is when the event starts. And like I said, that's going to be the last Rise Above for at least a month.
Weather looks mint as well.
The weather does look mint as well. Yeah. So
Ramish RARP technicians on the case.
Get your tickets. Right. What else has been going on? Let me just get to...
Politics.
Oh, yeah, and also I need to let you know that the 2 new designs for the T-shirts are only available at the next event.
It's clearly racist.
Word to your Nan T-shirts are going to be available, and it will be a while before we even get them to the website.
Excellent.
Big shout out Pamela Swan with this nice little announcement here. Yes, get your badass Rise Above merch. Thank you very much for that. I'll just put a QR code on the screen. Where is the merch QR code? Here you go. And big shout out to everyone buying merch. T-shirts, hoodies, vests.
Everyone's waiting for that word to your nan t-shirt.
Yeah, the word to your nan t-shirt is going to sell out
They
instantly.
fucking want
It's
it.
going to sell out instantly. Okay, so I will remind you, the full feature-length presentation of the Bournemouth Migrant 19 protest comes out Sunday night on Patreon. You need to be on Patreon. There's footage on there which will never be showed on YouTube.
If you're not on it, I mean...
The problem is you're a fucking retard.
Our coverage of Safeguard Force in Bournemouth, and as you can see, people are having a go at them here. You need to get on Patreon for that as well. That's already out last night.
That's a left-wing meme. Do you know
Yeah.
that is the left-wing meme. Left-wing meme.
Do you want to see what a right-wing meme
Yeah, let's
looks
do
like?
it.
I think
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
only showed this on Peasantron. Big shout out to You've Been Nudged. This is the Soros Vikings meme, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Sorosian Vikings.
Sorosian Vikings, the Soros Caliphate, which is something we've been talking about on Patreon quite a lot. Now, on the subject...
Oh, this is fucking amazing.
This is absolutely quality, right? And big shout out to Ryan Sanders.
Everyone's
because
favourite Christian right rapper.
He's
Shout
going to
out
be...
to Ryan.
He's performing on Sunday, right? So let me just get back on the screen here. This is so funny. He's got a tune called Send Them Home, as most of you, I'm sure, know. Send them home. Send them back in.
Great tune.
Until they leave this earth realm. Don't let them back in. And he's actually talking about archons in the tune, or, you know, non-physical evil entities. But the funny thing is that the Patriots and the anti-migrant hotel protesters and people making content online have heard his tune. It's called Send Them Home, and has actually started using it in anti-boatmen, anti-migrant media, and to the point that Ryan's actually had to make a statement. He's saying, it's come to my attention. People have been using the song Send Them Home in stories and some TikTok videos linked to the recent immigration marches. Just thought I'd let anyone know who's finding out about me for the first time because of this. The song is not about immigration. There is a deeper meaning if you care to dig deeper. I'll also add that I respect anyone that comes to the UK with the intentions of contributing to a society. However, with tensions rising on the subject, I thought I'd throw in my 2 cents and say I fully believe the UK government are purposely letting in. Oh, right, so Ryan starts actually going in. Obviously, Ryan watches Rise Above.
Absolutely.
He knows,
Yeah.
you know, whether he's come to that conclusion by himself or he heard us say it, you know, quite a long time ago. Fair play to him. He's making his point. He didn't write the song about that. But, you know, this is a problem. He's not having a go at people.
I mean, maybe he did. Maybe
he did.
Maybe he
Inadvertently.
Maybe this is all a cover.
Quality. Okay. All right. So what time is it? Yeah, well, about 5 minutes until we speak to Guy Anderson, I think.
Get him in 5, guys.
Yes, 5 minutes. Okay. So this is a cool meme. Who made this one? Oh, also You've Been Nudged. So in the dead of night, the beast is unleashed. And you've got Queer Starling with some sort of werewolf bursting out of his mouth. So what is all this about? It's to do with the Fabian Society.
Yeah, and this is because their logo is a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah, and obviously,
Fucking Angela Rayner here.
Is that Angela Rayner or Rachel? Rachel Reeves.
Rachel Reeves, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously they're both members of the Fabian Society, and as you can see in the bottom right corner, that's the little shield, and their logo is literally a wolf in sheep's clothing. So I thought this was quite funny. It's what was it? What's the film? American Werewolf.
American Werewolf.
Yeah, sort of like that, but a company of wolves. I like it. I can't believe we haven't already mentioned this, and this is just obviously one of those.
33 million people in Britain are mentally ill. No, but not.
One of those stories from Clown World that's sort of doing the rounds, you know, about what was it, Sydney Sweeney?
Sydney Sweeney, yeah.
You know, it's sort of like gorgeous.
She's got good genes, Michael.
She's got good genes, and obviously
genes.
pointing out someone that's white with blue eyes and blonde hair has good genes is super racist. In fact, it's Nazi, it's far right, it's white supremacist.
How fucking dare they?
It's how dare they? So I thought that this was quite funny. What liberals see.
They've doubled down as well, American Eagle Jeans. They've said, yeah, we're not taking anything down. We like it.
Oh, yeah, they have doubled down
they've
on it,
doubled down.
which I think is great. It really just shows like the absolute like hatred.
I mean,
and,
the Austrian painting looks good in denim. With
and
long
like
hair.
the toxic
He's about
racism.
to turn up to Woodstock and spark up a joint.
Yeah, when I saw this, I think I spat my coffee out. I thought it was so funny. But it's a great way to take the piss out of something that is so preposterous. Because it's so, if you think about it, it is quite evil, really. You know, they're making a play on the word of genes and genes.
Yeah.
And it's just, just the suggestion.
It's a fucking pun.
That a blonde, blue-eyed white person might have good genetics.
Absolutely.
Hitler.
How dare they?
Hitler. I thought it was quality. Okay. It is 20 past. I think we'll save these. I'll tell you what. I might just ask for a thumbs up from Guy to see if he is ready. He is indeed ready. So let's get this hideous Austrian painter meme off the screen. Let's get rid of that and come back to the studio. Right. So very interesting guest tonight. Guy Anderson, Rise of the Clones. Let's get him on the screen. Oh, he's just disappeared. No, he's back.
Cabbage patch dolls ready, guys.
Guy, welcome to Rise Above.
Thank you.
You come highly recommended, mate.
Who by?
Well, have you been on Sheep Farm?
I have, yeah, been on a couple of times. Yeah, I love those two.
Atlantic Underground podcast with Chris.
Yeah,
well, you know, we're all part of the same sort of group of affiliates, and once you do come on one of the show, you sort of do the round. So we you know, we've got you last, but we're very excited to speak to you, mate.
Thank you. Well, thanks for having me on.
Just before we get down to the subject at hand, do you just want to sort of introduce yourself to the audience? Give us a little background about who you are, how you got into this trail of investigation.
Yeah, sure. It was my dad who started me about 40 years ago. He joined the Freemasons, and I wanted to know what he knew. And he kept disappearing with this black briefcase that he wouldn't let anybody look inside. And one day I picked it. I managed to pick the lock. And I found his apron and his ritual book, and I was just fascinated. And he knew that I'd looked, and he started leaving books around for me to read. And the first one was called From Atlantis to the Sphinx. And I realised that actually why he had joined was he wanted to know occulted knowledge. He wanted to know what they knew. How did we get here? Who built the pyramids? All of that kind of stuff. And I joined when I was old enough. Yeah, there I am. I joined because I wanted to know what he knew. And what I discovered quite quickly was that he didn't know very much at all. Because you don't, unless you can get up high enough. And that's difficult without the right connections or breeding. You stay pretty much where I was. All I managed to do was I learned a bit about King Solomon. I learned a little bit of our past and our true history, but what I did really learn was that people use it to accelerate their careers, especially in the police force. That's what I noticed, because I was at the Grand Lodge of the United Kingdom, so a lot of people from the Flying Squad and the Met were in the same lodge as me, and just watching them accelerate their careers at a phenomenal rate just because of their membership, if you like, of being in the Freemasons. So I've been down the rabbit hole since my teens, but Tartaria is my favourite rabbit hole, and that I discovered during the pandemic. Someone called Max Egan introduced me to it, and it's become an obsession because it's the biggest conspiracy of them all. You know, forget did we land on the moon, or what happened with the Twin Towers. To wipe out 1,000 years of your history and a complete civilization, that takes some beating. So that's where I am, and I've been researching, talking about it, and writing about it for the last 5 years.
Okay. Well, that's quite an interesting backstory, having been in the Masons as well, and I'm sure that's probably raised a couple of eyebrows. Absolutely. With our audience. Did your eyebrow go up as well? I've got a bit of more of a balanced view of the Masons. I've dealt with a couple of guys that are Masons, and much like you said, I always ask them when I find out they're Mason. I was like, are you more of a an Albert Pike or a Manly P Hall kind of guy? And 9 times out of 10. They sort of look at me blankly.
And say who?
And they may have heard of those names, and they said, neither. I'm there. The guy that does the plumbing, he's like, I'm there for the shaky. And what he means by that is just the perks of being a part of the club. Yeah.
I mean, that's not my experience of it. There are people that are there because they're fascinated by it. They think that they're going to somehow be given the key to the Vatican vault. There are people that do it because they want to use the handshake and the password and certain other things that you can use to get on in life. But there are also a lot of people there that I met that are widowed. So it's an older group of people more often than not. So you've got someone who's widowed and they've got perhaps a very, very small circle of friends. Family don't come and see them anymore. And they'll often join because they want the social side of it. So
The
they
brotherhood.
meet a new... Yeah, so there are a lot of people doing that. So when I joined, I was relatively young, and my youngest son there, when he joined, he was 18. Now that in London you can join at 18, but outside of London, in what they call the provinces, you can't join till you're 21. So he was the youngest Freemason in the country when he joined, because the lodge I went to and the person that ran our lodge was very well connected. He was actually the Prime Minister's advisor for the Met Police. We were able to get him in quite quickly for a surprise for his birthday when he turned 18. But a lot of people in Freemasonry are older, and they are joining because they just want something to do during the week, and they want a bit of a social life, and they can have it if they want to, because although you meet 7 times a year, there are other things going on. There's always something like a charity golf match or a dinner and dance or a tour around somewhere. So I would say 50% of the people that join because they want to raise money for charity. They want a social life. They're lonely. And then the other 50% join because they want to abuse it. But I left because that's what I experienced myself. I watched them all doing it. And now, because I've written about that and spoken about it being really an old boys club, it really is, and not agreeing with it, and obviously being restricted how far you can progress. I don't know anybody that's reached the 33rd degree. I don't know anyone even close to that.
What degree did you reach, if you don't mind me asking?
Third degree, which is where most people end up, which is what they call a Master Freemason. And that's where most people get to.
Was this Yorkshire or Scottish Rite?
Oh, no, this is Scottish Rite is different. Yorkshire's different. So this is craft. This is your regular, if you like, Freemasonry. Okay. But there are offshoots to it. But Scottish Rite, yeah, that's something else altogether. But there are 33 regular degrees, what they call light degrees. But there are another 66 dark degrees that no one talks about. No one really knows much about. It's not written about. Most Freemasons, most regular Freemasons at the level I got to, wouldn't know about it either. It's hidden. So I think they use the regular Freemasons, if you like, the sort of rung I got to. They use that as I suppose the mouthpiece. We're raising money for charity. We've just built a new wing on a children's ward. We've done this. We've done that. So they're kind of seen as knights in shining armor, where what they don't show you is the amount of people that just use it for personal gain. But what happens when you get to the 33rd degree? I don't know. There are people that talk about it, but most people that tell me all about Freemasonry, and they say, oh, they're devil worshippers, they're this, they're that. They haven't joined, so they've got no way of knowing any of this stuff. It's just what they hear. But I don't want to go. It's not for me. It's not what I thought it was. I've been quite outspoken about it, so they don't want me back either, and that's fine. So we didn't leave as friends. We didn't part as friends.
Leave on good terms. Okay. One thing you said there, which stuck out to me, which I haven't heard before, is you said they only officially meet 7 times a year. Mm-hmm. That seems in a 12-month year. That seems an odd amount. Is there some esoteric significance to that?
No. Okay. It's not like that. It's not as dark as people think at your regular level.
Right.
What happens beyond that, I don't know. But the reason for that is they stop meeting from May and then don't start again until back end of autumn. And that is because historically people were on holiday. People were taking time off for 2 weeks in the sun, and they were finding during the summer that not enough people would attend. And you have to have a certain number of people to actually open a lodge and have a meeting. Otherwise, it's just 3 or 4 people sat round a table. It's pointless. So it's really having the summer off. That's all it's about.
How mundane. That's so mundane
It's
compared to
not
what
that
I thought you were
exciting,
going to
is it?
say.
You're disappointed, I can tell, aren't you?
I am kind of disappointed. So you've sort of peed on the bonfire of my next question. Was like, so you didn't witness anything up to the third degree that could be described as ritualistic or dark occult or anything like that.
Nah, it's nothing like that.
No
But
masturbating in coffins or nothing like that.
Nah, but like I said, what happens when you get higher up? I don't know, because I don't know anybody that is. And the only people I've spoken to that claim to know things about it aren't Freemasons at a high level. They just know someone who is, or met someone once that is. They don't know, and it's hidden, it's protected, and so I would say that in itself is a little bit worrying. You can't find any of this stuff out on Google, but you can about where I got to.
Sure.
You can read books on it, but and it's not a secret society either. It's a society of secrets. But one thing that because I was going to the headquarters, if you like, for my meetings, I went into a Knights Templar lodge, and I had a little look around, and there was a goat skull in there. And that was it. I was fascinated there because I just kept seeing Baphomet. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, you would do, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Oh, that's my post from today. Yeah.
Great segue there. We've literally gone straight into your super interesting.
Can I just ask God?
Yeah, go for it, Andy. Go for it.
Did you and other Masons of your level used to speculate yourselves about what was at the higher degrees?
No, not
like
really.
within yourselves, no.
No, not really. I joined with a friend of mine. He lived opposite me. He was my best friend at the time, and we joined because we kind of enjoyed it. We both lived in Northampton at the time, and we were going into the city on a Thursday afternoon, and we'd take it in turns to drive. There'd normally be a few of us. We'd have a couple of beers before and a bottle of wine while we're having our meal, and it was good fun. It was good fun socially, and I quite enjoyed it when someone was being initiated, because I was only two ranks, if you like, away from being the master of the lodge, the worshipful master. And you progress, so each year you go up through the ranks, but it takes you a few years before you start that journey. You start as a steward, so basically you're the bitch. You're serving wine at the meals, and you're a bit of a dog's body, but everyone goes through it.
That's similar to like in a biker gang as well, isn't it? What they call prospects. They're prospects.
Yeah, so you're an apprentice as opposed to a prospect. Yeah, it's the same thing. And it was really good fun when people were initiated, because I got a few of my friends to join and my youngest son. So obviously you're blindfolded when you're initiated. So it's quite nice when the blindfold comes off, and and I'm stood there with a sword in front of them. They don't know I'm there. They didn't know that the first thing they'd see would be me, and you just see this sort of relief that they're still alive and no one's done anything to them. But it's all symbolic, really. But obviously, it goes back all the way to King Solomon, the Freemasons. A lot of people have different views on this, but having been one for a long time, I can assure you it goes back to King Solomon. It's very.
How
very
long
old.
were you a Mason?
Well, technically it's like Hotel California. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. So technically I still am one. I still know everything. I could go to a lodge meeting and I'd be rusty, but I could still go if I wanted to, badly enough. But I joined when I was about 30, and I'm 54.
Okay.
So a few years ago now.
Quarter of a century.
Yeah, but I've not been since my son turned 18, which is I should know this straight away, should I? 8 years ago. Yeah, so I stopped going 8 years ago. I hadn't been for a couple of years, but I went back to get him in. He wanted to join the Knights Templar. He's like me. He's down the rabbit hole. It's come from my dad through me to him, not my eldest son so much. And he was obsessed with the Knights Templar. So I said, well, the only way you can join the Knights Templar and find out about them is if you join the Freemasons, and then they'll ask you when you become a master if you're interested. And that was his mission. And then he had an ayahuasca ceremony and decided that he couldn't possibly go back. He didn't agree with it anymore. But
Wow.
I'd left anyway.
Why was that?
Didn't align with his beliefs. People abusing something for personal gain. He just didn't agree with it. He was actually about to start his training to be an RAF pilot, and that got sidelined as well, because he said that now he's been enlightened, if you like. It was a proper, it was with shame, and this wasn't something.
It sounds like he had a proper hit of the jungle juice with a reaction like that. Yeah,
he went abroad. He went overseas to do this with shaman from the Amazon rainforest, and it was a proper retreat. And he came back, and he lobbed in the RAF. He stopped going to the Freemasons, and he started meditating, doing yoga, going mountain climbing, things like that. And he's exactly the same today. All of these years later, he
changed his life forever.
It totally did.
Yeah, those machine elves can be quite persuasive when they want to be.
Have you indulged in anything like that, Guy?
No, it scares me.
It scares
me. Yeah, it does, because of all this information I carry around with me, and a lot of people say to me, you kind of you know more than most, and how do you sleep at night? Carrying all of this stuff, I just don't think I could face it, because a lot of my life is spent in the shadows, in the dark, digging up things that people don't really want to look at, and I just think that it's going to all hit me in one go. So it's something I will do, but. Jesus did it at 33. I think I missed the boat considerably, but I'm just not ready. Not with the stuff I carry around in my mind.
It's certainly nothing to be trifled with. A good healthy fear of it is good, I think.
Yeah, but over the years I've dabbled with different things, and I used to be a tattoo artist, and the only way I could draw and concentrate if I was designing a sleeve for somebody would be to have a smoke first, and I found it just engaged a different part of my brain, but also switched everything else off, so I could focus. And I can see why gamers do it, but these days that would make me paranoid. So no, I don't even have caffeine.
Wow. Okay. Nice. I must say I'm quite surprised to hear you say you're a tattoo artist. I didn't expect you to say that, but I've just seen a little bit of art on the wrist there.
Yeah, well, I used to write for a tattoo magazine, and I used to co-present a tattoo program on Channel 5 with someone called Charlotte Crosby from Geordie Shore.
Really?
What was the name of the show?
Tattoo Disasters.
Ah.
Wait a minute. I used to watch that.
I used to critique, and then occasionally they'd film me fixing one that had gone wrong. But I was sort of at the top of my game. I was doing all the conventions, and I had a year's waiting list. And what I'd do is I'd sit people down, and the first thing I'd subject them to was bit shoot. So, right, you're going to find out about cloning today. Well,
yeah. It's funny you should say this, because my Rhymes wife Becky, yes, she is a very highly sought after tattoo artist, and she does exactly the same thing.
Well,
forces people.
Yeah. Well,
you've got them for like 5-6 hours there.
In fact, she plays this podcast to them on a particularly long one. Yeah, we used to go for a lot longer, 4, 5, 6 hours, when we were a bit younger. Okay, so
she'll be playing this tomorrow while she tattoos someone.
So a big shout out to the person
Yeah.
that's in
Shout out to Becky,
the person that's in Becky's tattoo chair right now, listening to this podcast tomorrow.
Enjoy.
Tell her to Google me. If she types in Guy Anderson tattoos, there'll still be a load of stuff come up. But I used to write for a magazine called Tattoo Master. I used to write for that, but I used to work. I was in Skin Deep all the time. Total Tattoo. I was in all of them, but Skin Deep I was in all the time. That was the biggest tattoo magazine. So, but this is going back a few years. So, yeah,
man of many talents.
But in the end, your back goes. Your back goes. But
hers has already gone.
Yeah. So I've got two problems with a couple of discs. But for me, when I wrote my first book, I was still tattooing part-time. I was doing like 1 day a week.
Yeah.
And I realised that I couldn't continue to do that and write and get the books out there. And I just thought, well, the book's just come out. It's an infant, and am I going to help it grow? Am I going to help it learn to walk and then run? And, am I going to nurture this thing? Or am I just going to play at it and carry on concentrating on the tattooing? And I just decided my back was hurting. I'd lost a little bit of passion for it. And to give this book a good chance of getting out there and doing well, it needed all of my attention, not 50% of it.
No,
Awesome.
well, it's good to
Becky's
hear.
actually just messaged me. She's obviously tuned in. She says she knows you, Guy.
Really? Is that good or bad?
I'm not sure. I'll have to speak to her. When
There was a little love heart. I'm sure it's good.
Oh, that's all right then.
No, that was
Oh,
me.
good.
I hearted her.
Oh, you hearted her,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
maybe it wasn't good. All right, let's get back on track. The Baphomet. What does this symbol really mean? What have people got wrong with it over the ages? Both the Orthodox sort of religious people and the New Agers. What are they getting wrong about this? Because I liked your post today, mate.
What do you mean? In what respect? What do you mean? Because people, everybody that I've spoken to, and if you see that post, I mean, it's not gained as much traction as some of them I put up, but this one seemed to be quite. People were quite interested by it. But if you scroll down, they've all got a different opinion on what it actually means. I mean, to me, today, I just see it as being an example, really, or perhaps the figurehead of this whole kind of desexualization. So as you can see, it's transgender. We know that the goat is significant. I always see the two snakes with the staff or the sword going through them as someone actually splicing or splitting in half our DNA helix. That's what to me it represents, kind of splitting humanity in half, us as a creation being split in half. But it just reeks of Hollywood right now to me. You know, where we're watching, I'll watch a film with Sandra Bullock in, knowing that actually what I'm looking at, it was originally a man, and I think that's I think they've used Hollywood to kind of push this agenda. So we end up with having perhaps one religion, one government, one sex, which is a bit of both. I don't know, but that's to me what it is. I just see a sort of a transgender association with it, and the symbolism there to actually show us that the idea is they're kind of splitting us in half.
Okay.
But the odd thing is, like I was saying to you before we came on, that some people would argue that actually it just represents dark and light, and that kind of thing. It's opposites, and but it's not. It isn't duality. It's not that at all. It's satanic. Absolutely, it's satanic. And when I was at the Knights Templars, the Convent of Christ, at their headquarters, if you like, where they began in Tamar in Portugal a few weeks ago, we went into the gift shop, and all the books were in Portuguese apart from one, and it I just picked it up and then laid it down. It fell open on an image of Baphomet. And they were trying to justify it in the book, that's saying that it was a good thing. Does it look like a good thing? If you woke up in the middle of the night and that was at the end of your bed, is that a good thing? That would scare the shit out of anybody, wouldn't it? So for me, it's dark. But, I think that the Templars were obviously worshipping Baphomet, and that was kind of hijacked and taken over by the Vatican.
In your post, you alluded to that this is some sort of deity or entity that the Templars were actually interfacing with. What did you mean by that?
Something that they communicated with. You see, I do believe, and obviously this can't be proven, but I do believe that the parasites right at the very top are communicating with something. So we know that obviously the Jesuits are top of the pyramid of control and pyramid of power, and sat right at the very top is Pepe Orsini, the Grey Pope. So we know about the bloodline families, we know how that works, but who pulls his strings? Who's pulling their strings? So I think it's actually not a person that sat above these bloodline families. I think it is some kind of being or entity. I don't know what. People have different views on it. Some refer to it as the demiurge. Some say that they're actually worshipping the devil, or it's Greys. There he is. It's interesting. You won't find much on him online.
Is this guy still alive?
Yes. Absolutely, he's still alive. Yeah.
Oh, what was the guy before
man
him?
In the world.
Right. So this is the new guy. Because is this the Grey Pope?
The Grey Pope. He's been the Grey Pope for a very long time.
Right. Okay. I'm trying to remember.
He's the head of the Jesuits. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember another guy that died a little.
The White Pope's insignificant. He's obviously he's not. They're all kind of.
Who was the Black Pope? Who was the Black Pope?
The Black Pope is. I can't remember, but he's
I'll get that.
Spanish, and I can see his name now, but I can't. I can't.
On the tip
remember
of your
what the
tongue,
Black
Andy
Pope-
PG is just googling it. He'll
Oh,
be
I
another one of these papal
can see it.
bloodlines.
Oh yeah, it'll be a bloodline, but of course some of them have changed their names and and obviously done that on purpose. The Rothschilds originally were, descendants from Amun Ra, the Ra childs. So the names get switched, but Orsini's the most powerful family of them all. The Black Pope is gone. All I know is he's Spanish. I can see him, and I know his name. But I have to write everything down, otherwise it goes. If it's not right in front of me, it's lodged somewhere, and it takes something special to get it out. Because I absorb, I think, too much information sometimes, and people bombard.
Arturo Sosa.
Arturo Sosa.
I mean, he looks quite friendly, as opposed to Pepe.
He actually, compared to Pepe, he looks like a nice old chap. Actually,
he looks like you get out of Father Ted.
Yeah, someone from Father Ted.
Yeah.
So you've said something quite interesting there, that the Jesuits are right at the top of at least the human pyramid anyway. So would you say that all of this talk about the Zionists and the little hats in their various different denominations being the driving force behind a lot of what's going on at the moment, do you think that's sort of a false flag?
I think there are lots of false flags. I mean, the problem is ultimately we don't know, do we? I mean, the comments I make and what I write is based on years and years of research, but none of it's hearsay. And I hear this all the time. Who is actually ultimately in charge? And I do think there are false flags. Yeah, and a lot of people I hear this quite often. Oh, the Jews did this, the Jews did that, and I think we're often given people to blame. I mean, originally the Jesuits were the Phoenicians. They invented banking, and ultimately they're the reason we need passports, and and we had schooling and education the way we did, with mathematics and so on. They kind of started breaking us and indoctrinating us, and then sort of morphed into the Jesuits. But there are lots of offshoots, and there are lots of groups that people talk about all the time. But if they really want to know who's in charge and they really want to look, they need to be looking at the Jesuits and Pepe Orsini. That's where it is. I mean, ultimately, underneath them, you've got these groups, but these other groups. But you've also got think tanks too, the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderberg Group. The Club of Rome. Club of Rome is very difficult to find anything on. You won't find many podcasts about them. They control YouTube, the content that goes out. The last time I looked, there wasn't a single podcast about Club of Rome, apart from their own podcasts that they put up on their own channel. There's nothing. No one talks about them. No one dares to talk about them. So, and then obviously you've got Council of 13.
I feel a Patreon show coming up, Lance.
Yeah, what should we rise to the challenge and do a show about the Club of Rome?
Not?
Yeah, well, you could try it on YouTube.
Are you aware of somebody called Mark Passio, guy?
No.
He was actually appointed a priest in the Church of Satan by Anton LaVey before he died. Right. And he was actually being primed for a position within the Club of Rome, but then he left it all before that.
Oh, do you know why he left?
Well, he realised what they were trying to do.
Same reasons you left the Masons.
You'd know that when he bloody started.
He was into it. He was into it, but he thought it was just to get a leg up in life, to get one up on.
Yeah, he said he was in it for personal gain, but then when he realised,
like a lot of the Freemasons do, like you were discussing earlier.
But when he realised there was a plan to corral humanity into
slavery, because he was a lot to do with publishers, and they were putting out so much new age bullshit to mind control everyone, to basically just
so he's probably working with HarperCollins,
and then he realised what they were doing, and then he's like, I can't be part of this. But in that, he was actually being primed for a position in the Club of Rome.
Right.
You said a minute ago that the Orsini family are right at the top, and the way that I understand it is that these names like Rothschild, Rockefeller, people talk about the Khazarian mafia, think tanks. Those are all things that are happening at an operational level. But when you talk about families like the Orsinis, they're part of a coalition that actually own the Holy See, and they own the land that the Vatican is on. So we're actually talking about the owners, not the management that are doing all the dirty work.
Yeah,
on
and
behalf of the owners.
that's the clever thing about Pepe Orsini. He could walk into a bar or a restaurant or be stood in, you know, in a queue next to you, and you wouldn't necessarily, not many people would know who he was.
No.
So he and his family can wander around. But of course, Jacob Rothschild, he was getting stopped in the street all the time. People were often sort of stopping him and asking him what goes on, and you know, does he worship the devil, and what happens at the Bilderberg group meetings, and so on.
Yeah.
So yeah, the ultimate head of the chain is Pepe Orsini and the Orsini family. But they're all, you know, they're all Rothschilds. Ultimately, they're all connected to the Rothschilds or their cousins, or and so on and so forth. Because it was the Rothschilds that everything was handed to on a plate by Marduk. And the Anunnaki Marduk, or Amun-Ra, as he's you know, known in Egypt, the person that you're referring to when you say Amen.
Wow.
That's Amun-Ra.
And wait! You've just dropped a huge bomb there.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's great. That's fun. That's not bad. That's really good.
Right.
You just said that the Rothschilds were handed everything on a plate from Marduk. Or Amun-Ra. How long ago was this? Because as far as I thought, that the Rothschild dynasty was like a few hundred years old, or in its current name.
Yeah, in the current name.
So you're going back much further. Elaborate, please.
I'm going back a very, very long time. Yeah. Now, we don't know for sure when it is. We know that it was approximately 250,000 years ago that the Anunnaki popped us out, or pumped us out through a lab. You know, because we can refer to the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is the oldest version of any sort of form of Bible that we have. The Bible, all Bibles are based upon the Epic of Gilgamesh. So we know 250,000 years ago, people came from somewhere else, beings made us. The story of Adam's obviously based upon Adapo. And so the Epic of Gilgamesh is what people really want to read if they want put the Bible down for a moment and read the original, because it's not been bastardized. They haven't thrown bits out. So yeah. So
when you say they, Guy, it's been bastardized. Who by? When you say
Jesuits.
they, thrown by the Jesuits. Okay.
Yeah, all paths lead to Rome. Always, they lead to Rome. So Marduk, who was one of the Anunnaki rulers. So you've got obviously Enki and Enlil, which are the gods in the Old Testament. So when it's saying gods, it's plural, or Elohim. They're talking about whether it's Elohim or gods. They're talking about Enki and Enlil, and Marduk was a brother, or I can't remember if he was a brother or a cousin, but he was one of the higher up. They basically gave Marduk the job of ruling the earth, while others focused on the sky and other things. So Marduk tried to wipe out the civilization once. There was a huge war, and people like Billy Carson would suggest that it was a nuclear war. And there's
Fuck Billy Carson.
Pardon?
Fuck Billy Carson.
I'm not a fan of Billy Carson.
But he's you know, he's obviously, you know, as far as I can see, he's sold out. But initially, his research was really good. You know, he was doing more about this than anybody else was. So I found him fascinating. Him and Freddie Silver are two people that had done a lot of research, but kind of Billy Carson went the same way as Joe Rogan, didn't he? Really, and now it's all about the bling.
Making millions of dollars out of it.
Yeah, and you know, turning up at the Great Pyramid in Giza, looking like he's just walked off a Hollywood, you know, red carpet kind of thing. It's a shame, but you can see how it happens.
Sure.
I think that these people like Joe Rogan are given an option. They're going to be shut down, or they're going to be made incredibly wealthy. But in exchange for that, this is what they're allowed to talk about, and this is what they're not allowed to talk about. And I think a lot of them do that. But yeah, so the Bent Pyramid in Egypt shows signs of nuclear being actually hit, or a nuclear catastrophe or explosion happening near it, because it's burnt. And they're still finding nuclear glass now in the sand around it, and that they've been finding it for a very long time, and it's old. This nuclear glass is very, very old. So the second war so the first war was won according to the Epic of Gilgamesh. The second war, he didn't win, or he only just scraped by, and so he fled. Marduk left, and he said that he was leaving, and he was leaving everything the power, the money, the wealth, the control, everything on this earth to the children of Ra, the children of Amun-Ra, the Ra Khans, which translates to the Ra Childs. And so you can see how the name slowly morphed.
Interesting. Interesting. Because a lot of people say, Guy, that Rothschild means red shield.
Yeah,
What's,
Red
what's
Shield.
your take on that?
Yeah, Red Shield, Red Bear. Yeah, there's different. Yeah, but you know, they kind of just changed the name to something that was a bit more sort of, I suppose, that fitted in a little bit better. And they also changed religion. You know, they converted to Judaism. They weren't obviously Jewish, and so the power was put in place by the Anunnaki. These bloodlines were put in place so they would continue to rule everything, and they still do today. So it's the same bloodlines that have been there since the very beginning. So I would say that if you were taking, you know, someone like one of the Rothschilds or J.D. Rockefeller or Pepe Orsini, any of these names that we know, and you were to check their blood group, they're quite possibly Rh null. At very least, they would be Rh negative. They might even be a blood group we're not aware of, and you would find that their DNA is going to be perhaps a little bit different to us. I mean, Jacob Rothschild, the head of the Rothschild family, until he died a little while ago, you know, even had a slightly elongated skull.
Yes, he did.
I was just going to bring this up, actually. Yeah.
Well, just when you were out the room there, just real quickly, Guy said that Marduk was leaving, and he was leaving all the wealth and the power and everything to the children of Ra, which is that Ra child.
Okay. And so, are you talking about Homo capensis when you were talking about this elongated skull? Is that what we're talking about here?
Well, we don't know, do we? Because we haven't been able to compare that to one of these bloodline family skeletons.
No, I bet they keep that very, very stern.
Yeah, and that's why I said earlier on, you know, we don't even know really, I mean, what blood group are they? But what we do know is when they travel, they take their own blood with them. So if they have an accident, they actually use to transfuse their own blood. They won't, they don't.
They won't have the peasant blood.
Yeah, but I wonder if that's for a different reason. You know, maybe they are Rh null, which would make it. You know, I think there's only 43 people in the world that we're aware of that have. I say in the world, I mean on it. You can't be in it.
Guy, I've never even heard of Rh null. I know about Rh negative. So you're now saying Rh null is a super, even rarer, like a derivative of Rh negative?
No, it's not. It's not even that. It's its own blood group. I mean,
because I've got a friend, Guy, who is Rh negative, and he goes to give blood. Him and his mum, they're both Rh negative. They go and donate blood, and they. I've told him not to do that anyway, but that's a whole other discussion. I've told him about that. But he also visited the Britney Spears concert during Kosher 19. But anyway, that's a different discussion. But he can't have anyone else's blood. He can only have Rh negative. But,
incompatible.
But anyone can have his blood who's not Rh negative. I find that really odd. And now you're saying that there's Rh null, who I wonder if they can have Rh negative blood, or maybe not. No.
So you were saying something that it's in a group completely of its own.
It is, yeah, and there are 43 known people with it, and this is why it was really important during 2020 for people to not just get swabbed to get their DNA put on a database. But also you saw a big push around the same time on Ancestry.com for people to start looking at their bloodlines. So people were sending DNA off to that. So what they're trying to do is work out, because it's Blackstone that own Ancestry.com. So they're trying to build a database. They're trying to build a database of people for lots of different reasons. And the second book I wrote, which is called Rise of the Clones, is a deep dive into that. You know, how far back does cloning go? Well, if you read the Bible, you know, they took a rib from Adam and cloned. So metaphorically or not, they're talking about cloning. So really what they're trying to do is find out more about what is out there. So my fear is that they want to know if there are more people that are Rh null. Lots of people are Rh negative. Yes, it's rare. My mother-in-law is Rh negative. She actually, and this is 30 years ago, I had a conversation with her when she said, "Oh, I've got Atlantean blood." Now, this is a woman who is not down the rabbit hole, not at all.
That's amazing.
Very
Wow.
That's amazing that she said that.
Yeah, and I said, "Who told you that?" And she said, "Well, I've always known that. I thought everybody knew that. That's what it is, isn't it?" I said, I don't bloody know. You're going back to the Younger Dryas period now. What are we talking 10,000 years ago? I don't know. I've no idea. So yeah, R.H. Null's the strangest one. I do have a friend who's R.H. Null. He's Eric Clapton's son, Michael Lee Hill, which would suggest that because both parents would have to be R.H. Null.
So that's 3 out of the 43. Your friend and his 2 parents, which is Eric Clapton and his missus.
Yeah. Now he's out in America, and he was actually working with the NSA. And when they found out,
sorry to butt you in, Guy. Do you remember? Was it Eric Clapton during Kosher 19 took it and then his hands?
Yeah, he lost. He said he couldn't play guitar
yeah.
anymore after taking the Kosher 19 jabs.
oh, is that what you call it? You're calling it?
Yeah, sorry, we have because
We
we're
actually call it the Britney Spears tour.
the Britney Spears concert, like an arm spear. That actually came from Sheep Farm. That's their
Right.
slang word. We have because we're
Oh,
on
I like
YouTube,
that.
Guy. We've lost channels before, so we've developed this language. Kosher 19 is that's self-explanatory. The Britney Spears concert is going to have that. Yeah, the list is endless, really. Yeah, so if there's anything you say which you think, what the hell are they talking about?
Yeah,
just
thanks
stop
for
and
that.
ask, mate. Don't worry.
We just say medical intervention.
Yeah.
That's
a
even
sensible
that,
way to say it.
Lance has had to go to the YouTube community guidelines.
The re-education camp.
The re-education camp multiple times.
6 times now.
We stay away from even mentioning the word medical as far as we
Yeah,
can.
yeah.
I'm just demonetized because my content on my YouTube channel is harmful. So I'm demonetized.
Yeah, we
And
can't get
I've appealed-
monetization.
Pardon?
We can't get monetization either.
No, they don't. They just keep telling me my content's harmful, and I say to them, "Well, can you refer me to which particular video it is, and then I'll take it down." But there's a way around it. There is a way around it, but I'll message you on Facebook.
Also, yeah, I'd like to hear about that.
Right, let's get back to it because I butted in there.
Okay.
We're talking about Eric Clapton, his missus, and his son, and their blood type. That's 40.
Yeah, so-
3 out of the 40.
Who are the other 40 people? With
don't know.
Irish now. Any names that we know? Any famous people?
No, I don't know.
Orsini. I bet you Orsini's one.
You see, that's what I'm thinking. But also at the same time, I'm thinking, well, what if there's another blood group? And the reason that we don't know about it is because it is the one that's carried through these bloodline families.
Because something always fascinated me about Princess Diana and Camilla, because it was almost like Camilla's genes weren't good enough for Charles to have.
Camilla's genes are too similar.
Yeah.
They needed
Yes.
some non-reptilian DNA so they could keep their human form. That's blatant.
Right.
Yeah, it's because aren't they cousins or second cousins?
I'm not sure.
They
I
look
don't
the
know.
same.
Yeah,
They've got the same
so-
Habsburg look, haven't they?
Oh yeah, very
Yeah,
Habsburg, yes.
exactly. So I think it was the concerns of the whole Habsburg thing. Of course, the Queen had a cousin that wasn't quite right,
Two.
and they
I thought it was
hid
two.
her. Oh, was it 2?
Yeah,
I
there was a
know
pair of them
one.
that were locked away.
Yeah,
I can't remember
know
the
of one
names.
being locked away, but they did that. But then, if you look at, if you can find online any images of Prince Philip's mum when Philip and Liz got married back in the day, then she'd been released for the wedding from an asylum.
Mental institute. Yeah.
Yeah, and they had to bind her head. She
right,
dressed up
that's
as a
right.
nun, and they bound her head to stop her making funny noises during the ceremony.
Right. Let's talk about Tartaria. Because in the intro, you told us that you started researching this subject in 2020. And just before we get to some of these wicked images we've got here as talking points to explore this topic, I just wanted to bring something up of my own experience with this subject. Because to my knowledge, a lot of this information about Tartaria, the mud flood, the reset, and all of the whole sort of narrative of looking at these early photos of what was apparently after a reset. In my experience, all of this information actually appeared on the internet in a very short space of time, very, very suddenly. And I've narrowed it down to an actual month, and I want to know if you sort of agree with what I'm saying here. The reason I can narrow it down to a month is because I went on a tour of Southeast Asia emceeing, and I left my now wife here on her own, and she was meeting me 4 weeks later, which was in early December 2018. Now, in those 4 weeks, she was here on her own. with YouTube and a large amount of marijuana, like over an ounce, and she smoked all of it and watched YouTube for a whole week, just rabbit holing about whatever subject she could get hold of. And by the time she met me in Thailand, and now this is the first week of December 2018, she's talking about 1800 resets, Tartaria, mud floods. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I had never heard of any of this. And and then she started showing me this glut of information that had appeared out of nowhere from my experience. Because before, you know, I'm an avid rabbit holer, and I had never seen any of this information. Does this resonate with you? Did you notice this phenomenon that I'm talking about, that it all appeared all at once?
Yeah, it's for a very specific reason as well. It's due to the declassification of a CIA document.
Wow, okay.
That's what it's about. I do have the document, which I can send you.
Because to my knowledge, it was Russian. It was a Russian channel which first came out with the Tartarian stuff on YouTube, as far as I'm aware.
Putin handed over a map. I think it was in 2012, actually. Putin handed over a map. He presented it to the what would have been the last ruler of Tartaria, and he wanted to put back what had been, I suppose, hidden. So he presented a map to the ruler, or who would have been the ruler of Tartaria if it had still been in place, and he wanted to correct history. So he presented the correct map of the world, showing Tartaria as really Russia and Asia and a bit of Eastern Europe, pretty much the Northern Hemisphere, to be fair. He presented that to him. But it didn't really hit the news until relatively recently. In fact, I think even last year, people were sending me clips of Putin presenting this map, the correct map. But it happened some time ago. It's 2012. So yeah, Putin was the first person to actually try and restore Tartaria, but it was the release of the CIA document into the public domain. Oh, you've got it. Oh,
you sent it to me. This is why I badgered you to get these images, Guy. I told you this is a visual show, and you sent me all the images, so we got everything. What is this document all about?
It's a document. I mean, this is only a small piece of it. It's quite a large document. I'll have to send you the whole thing. But basically, it was decided that what they were going to do was happened in, as you can see there, the 9th of August, 1944. It was decided that they were going to remove Tartaria from the pages of history. So it became commonly, I mean, they'd started this process in the late 1700s, but it was finished off then. So Tartaria was changed to Mongolia, the Mongolian Empire, and all traces of it removed. And when they released this document, which they have to do after a certain amount of time, somebody somewhere put it up on the internet, but it's still on the CIA's website. It's obviously it's on there, but you'd have to know it was there to go and find it. But somebody put it out there, and that's when, you know, your other half would have suddenly seen this being exposed. And it was Max Egan that was probably the person that spearheaded this. And then you had, a very good YouTube channel and a really good researcher called John Levi.
We know Mr. Levi.
Yeah, he's really lovely. I mean, he's always stoned, isn't he? Bless him. But he puts some fantastic content out there. So he's done a lot of good work. But it's Max Egan. He was perhaps the first person to really champion Tartaria and start telling people about it. So yeah, it all correlates to the release of this document. That's why it was exposed when it was, and people started following it.
Interesting. Now, when I first started looking into this heavily, when all the information was coming out, I also heard some story, and I'm probably going to butcher this. It was something to do with some conventional meeting in the early 90s, and the last ambassador of or remaining member of some bloodline of Tartars appeared there, and I think this was in Russia or something like that, and this was the last recording of a representative of the Tartar aristocracy. Does this ring a bell? Have you heard of this?
No, but the Tartars are, and if we're referring to the Tartars, they're just part of Tartaria. I mean, Tartaria is the wrong term. I mean, we it's a blanket term that we're just using. We're just saying Tartaria. Tartaria was a region, and there were lots of different civilizations living within that, and the Tartars are one of them, and there are still Tartars today. I think they're the largest ethnic group in Russia are Tartars. In Ukraine or Crimea, there's still Tartars there. So that's it gets muddied the water very much because there are still Tartars wandering around. And we're using this term Tartarian, suggesting that the people from Tartaria were Tartars.
Right.
It's not the case because it included Mongols, it included Turks. Originally, the Tartarian people were called Scythians. You had the Scythians and the Phoenicians, and the Scythians go all the way back, to King Solomon, and then back to Gilgamesh, all the way back to Magog, Noah's grandson. So, it goes back all the way, but they've sort of given it this blanket term. So I'm talking about Tartaria as an ethos with architecture all over the world. But actually, what I'm talking about is the old world, the previous civilization. Sure. In biblical terms, it's referred to as the Millennial Reign of Christ. And there's a very good reason for that.
And we'll come back to that because I think the point that I'm getting at is, obviously, when the information is released, then you have a load of YouTubers and researchers with varying skill sets and diligence making large amounts of content. And in my opinion, what's happened is a lot of people have sort of Dunning-Krugered it and they've taken some images they've seen on John Levi's shows and they've sort of run with it and created a whole narrative and started talking about various topics that you're going to talk about tonight a lot more coherently, but they've really just run with the story, and a lot of it has just become garbled and messed up. Do you know what? Yeah, a lot of fantasy has been mixed in with it, and that's why I'm very pleased to speak to you tonight, because obviously you've done your homework on this subject, rather than just had a YouTube education, as who says that, Jason?
Yeah,
YouTuber.
Yeah, there is a particular YouTube channel that's huge, and she also has quite a big following on Facebook. That is just verbatim ChatGPT, and it's based upon an actual American podcaster. And the reason this particular person won't do interviews is because they don't know any of this information. They haven't researched any of this. They're just using ChatGPT to pour out information and sound like they know what they're talking about. But my information comes from research from old books, and some of them were quite expensive and difficult to find. But perhaps the first and most significant book I found was the Travels of Marco Polo, where he actually wrote about his times in Tartaria. Another good book was written by Peter Fleming, which is the brother of Ian Fleming, the James Bond creator, and he wrote about his travels in Tartaria. And then I started finding old encyclopedias and things like that. Even a couple of old medical journals that referred to them. Here's actually, it's only little, and you can probably get one on online somewhere. I don't know how well you can see that, if it's blurred or not.
No, it's clear. It's just back. It's just reversed. I think you've got your camera. Sorry. You've got your camera mirrored, so the writing's backwards.
Oh, right. So this is the Voyages and Travels of Marco Polo, and these are the references to Tartaria in it. This is Peter Fleming's book, News from Tartaria. So
I've actually got some of the maps you were talking about a minute ago, I believe, or at least these are some maps that you sent over.
Yeah, so that's probably the most popular map, John Speed's New World Map. The other one is quite rare, that you had up a moment ago. I think there's one that's showing people hanging from trees, what they used to do with the dead, so birds would come and eat them, and that was one of the rituals that they did in Tartaria.
This one.
Yeah, in an area that you wouldn't particularly expect to find them.
Yeah,
so it just shows you everything we know has been bastardized. But what you can do with this particular map, and I send them out. So when someone buys one of my books from me, a signed copy, I send them one of those maps, because although it's all in Latin, you can hold your phone over it using Google Lens, and it will translate it from Latin into English for you, so you can read it.
Yeah, it's a very useful tool, Google Lens.
Yeah. It's awkward, isn't it? Because we know how bad Google is. We know who really, started Facebook, and we know none of these, Microsoft and Apple and so on. We know none of them started off in their garage with a couple of friends from college. We know it's all bullshit, but we're still having to kind of use their technology to do what we're doing now. So
Yeah.
as much as I want to be out of the system, I need to be in it to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So there's lots of maps out there. If people search, they'll see that some of them actually show Tartaria broken up into Great Tartaria, Independent Tartary, Chinese Tartary, and so on, broken up into regions. Ultimately, they built a wall when China was no longer part of the Tartarian Empire. The Tartarian people built a wall to keep them out. The
Wow.
Great Wall of China, which isn't, it's the Great Wall of Tartaria because it faces the wrong way. It would only serve a purpose to China if they were going to attack themselves.
I have heard this before, and it's very interesting now you're putting it into a Tartarian frame.
Yeah, to get into it and to actually use it as a defensive structure, it's facing the wrong direction.
While we're still setting out the groundwork here, and you've mentioned that basically when you're talking about Tartaria, you're talking sort of narratively about the old world. There's one image that you've sent over here, which I just want to show on the screen, which is very striking. As far as I know, I'll let you describe what this image is because I'll probably get it wrong.
Yeah, so that's Queen Jennifer. She was the last queen of Tartaria, or what you would refer to as Tartaria, that region. And she's what George Lucas based Padme from Star Wars upon.
I think I've got that here. There you go.
Yeah. So so it's all taken. I mean, the Hopi, the women in the Hopi tribes are who Princess Leia is based upon. So this is all stolen. So yeah, that's Queen Jennifer. And if you go to the next slide, which shows her being frog marched, yeah, that's her being executed by the Russians while she was pregnant. So that happened in 1944, 1943. So they shot her in the back. She was pregnant there.
So this photo is from the 1940s.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So you can see the CIA document was August 1944. So you can see it all tied together. She was the last link of the chain, I suppose. Let's just get rid of the last bloodline.
But I'm thinking that like those maps where Tartary is actually named as a region were going back hundreds of years. But you're saying that this person was existing in the 1940s, still dressed in royal garb like this. This is insane.
Yeah, it's very well suppressed, isn't it? Which is why that CIA document is so useful, because it's a huge document, and that's just one piece of it. I mean, it's worth reading. If anybody's interested, they can always sort of get in touch, and I can send it to them. It's too big to email, but I can send it through Facebook Messenger. Strangely enough, but that will actually take quite a large PDF file. But with my email, it won't. It goes into what's it called? Is it mail drop? I can't remember.
Right. Okay. Or you can put it in a zip folder or something like that to send it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just absolutely blown away by this because, like I say, when I look at this picture, I'm thinking, is this like one of the earliest photographs ever taken in like the 1870s or something like that?
Yeah.
You told me it's from 1945.
Yeah.
So was this person like actually sitting on a throne in a palace somewhere, preceding what happened in the 40s?
Yeah. So, but her husband was killed before that, and I can't remember his name. And I've got it all written down because I write it in my books. So she was the last one, and of course she was pregnant, so they needed to end that bloodline. So yeah, but by then Tartaria had shrunk. The empire was gone. So yeah, she was still actually considered to be the queen, living in a palace, but not considered to be significant anymore.
But it was in a part of Russia?
Part of Asia. Yeah.
Do we know in what country that would be called now?
People have different views on this. People talk about this all the time, saying that she came from different places. Now one of the most popular I've heard, Kazakhstan is one place that people have said that she was from, but she doesn't look like that. There's differing information on that, but Manchuria is worth looking into because Manchuria was what the Russians. I mean, getting hold of Manchuria is why the Russians joined the war. That was the meeting. that they had with Roosevelt and everyone. It was because they wanted a piece of the action and wanted Manchuria. That was the deal. They were going to get involved with Japan, fighting Japan if they could have Manchuria. So I would say that probably what's online isn't true. That actually she was Manchuria. It was very important, that particular country.
So she was killed by the communists.
Mm.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because obviously when you think about the Chinese Communist Party and how now that the Han people are they sort of have racial supremacy in China. They are the predominant race. That's the race of the Chinese Communist Party. And as far as my missus is really into this kind of stuff with that part of the world, and it was all about getting rid of the Manchurian bloodline.
Yeah, and it was also really strategically a very important country as well, because it was you kind of had to go through there at the time when you were transporting goods, whatever it was. It was kind of a hub. You couldn't go anywhere if you were going from China to and lots of different countries around it. You kind of had to go through Manchuria, so they wanted it for that, so they could have an element of control over the movement of goods. And people and money and so on. So it was strategically important to Russia. They desperately wanted it, and that was why they joined in against Japan, because they wanted they were given Manchuria on a plate in return.
So when people say that part of World War II was actually, it wasn't just wiping out a generation of men that don't exist anymore, it was also destroying the old world. A lot of people say this. It's not just the bombing of Dresden. They were literally taking ancient noble bloodlines and putting a gun to their head and shooting them.
Yeah, but also if you go online and just type in giant World War II, you'll see that they were getting rid of certain people that shouldn't have been wandering around as well. But if you look at images of Hiroshima, if you can find any before it was bombed, I think it was carpet bombed myself. I don't think it was nuked, because people went back there a few months later and started living there again, and we've been told that you can't do that for thousands of years.
Yeah.
So Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they if you look at the architecture there, I mean, a lot of it looks like you're wandering around Rome. So they bombed certain places to get rid of architecture. Germany was obviously an issue because they appear to have still been running with up until certainly the First World War, running using Antiquitech. So I think there's a strong case that they were using advanced technology. They were way ahead of the British Empire. So the Society of the Elect, headed up by Cecil Rhodes, but actually funded by the Rothschilds, was formed to start a propaganda campaign to take Germany out before it became too powerful. So I think Germany was probably the last country operating as a Tartarian country, using their technology, their ethos, their architecture, and using cymatics and harnessing energy from the ether. It looks very much like that's what they were doing. They were far more technologically advanced than anywhere else in the world. So they needed to flatten it. Dresden's the worst, perhaps, case of doing that, especially when they did it and how they did it. It was disgusting. So that's a war crime in itself. Choosing the particular day when the children are having a prey called thrashing to do what they did, and to such a heat that people were melting in the street, turning into liquid, spontaneously combusting, and it's horrific what they did, and it wasn't necessary because it wasn't a military town. It was actually a refugee and hospital town. So it's all about the architecture. It's a bit like the Napoleonic Wars. Getting people to kill each other, you can wipe out an entire civilization by just getting people to fight each other for no real reason, and that's what the Napoleonic Wars were all about. But the interesting thing with that is, if you look at the population, in 1776, the world population was 770 million. 100 years later, it had doubled. Now that's quite difficult to achieve. But what they don't tell you is, out of a population ultimately of 1.35 billion people, over 3 billion had died. Well, how's that? You started off with 770 million. 100 years later, you've doubled it, but during the same period of time, you've killed nearly 3 times the amount of people that ever existed to start with. How?
Wow.
No one's got an answer for that.
It's interesting how the numbers from World War II just don't seem to add up.
No.
Careful.
No, I don't know what numbers you're referring to.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
they
I'm
don't
sure
stack.
you do.
Yeah, they don't stack up. And
I'm a big
I've
fan
been-
of the author David Irving.
Yeah. So-
Yes,
well,
I'm sure
I've
you're
been
aware of his
told that
work.
you know you can't say things like that. You shouldn't say. And all I'm saying is the numbers don't stack up. And then someone accused me of being something.
Antiseptic.
Yeah, and I said you'll have to try better than that. If you're going to try and shoot me down or find something because my mum's Jewish, so you're going to have to do a little bit better than that. I'm not coming from any angle other than I don't believe mainstream narratives, and sometimes the figures don't stack up. And it's the same for the slave trade, the slaves being taken from Africa. Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon, stolen, kidnapped and bloody stolen from Africa and dragged across the oceans to America. Those numbers don't stack up either. I think a lot of those people were already there, and we were just told that they were slaves, and it was sort of indoctrinated into them. But actually, this was the previous civilization, and they were far from savage and basic. They were, in fact, highly intelligent, sophisticated. These are the Moors we're talking about, who built incredible architecture, from North Africa throughout Europe, going into North America. An incredibly sophisticated and very noble race of people, condemned to be classified as slaves, with a backstory saying that, they were dragged over in ships. If you look at the numbers they're talking about and the number of ships that they had available at the time, they'd still be doing it now. So, a lot of these backstories don't add up. When you get a calculator out and use a little bit of common sense, you can see that these numbers don't stack up at all. And what you're referring to, it's not possible for the numbers to be anything like that. But they've accepted that now. They've now come out and said that they'd probably trebled the actual number, and that's kind of an official line now. But
I think that's bullshit as well.
Yeah, that doesn't stack up either.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't add up. And then if you look at actually who was behind these chambers, they were actually created, funded, and put in place by America. So the backstory to those is when you dig, isn't what we've been told. So it's all lies, and that's why history is written by the victors, and they invert a lot of things. So the people that are made out to be evil or whatever, when actually it's quite often it's the people saying that have done far worse things themselves. Dresden is just one example of what the Allies did. But there's also certain people out there that don't believe that the Blitz in London was actually what we've been led to believe, because 25,000 houses were flattened in the East End of London. That just happened to be an area of land that a couple of people called Abercrombie and Goldfinger, they're their surnames, wanted to redevelop and had been trying to for about 10 years before that. They wanted to knock it all down and start again, and then it happened to be completely flattened during the Blitz. Now people will say, well, no, they hit the East End of London because they were taking out the docks. Yeah, I know that. My granddad was a squadron leader in the RAF. I know all about that. What I'm referring to is they're missing by several miles consistently for a long period of time and wiping out houses. So a lot of bombing took place all over the world that had nothing whatsoever to do with a military strategy. If you wanted to fly over from Germany and really do some damage, you'd have bombed Buckingham Palace, St Paul's, and Westminster Palace, didn't you?
Yeah, easy targets.
Yeah. I mean, significant landmarks, so quite easy to hit. And they say, they didn't have brilliant kit back then, and it was a bit more random. Yeah, right. They could strategically hit the same area of land every night for several days to take out a particular part of London, but they missed something that you could see from bloody miles away.
Yeah. So we're suggesting that what was actually going on was architecture like this and like this is being destroyed in really what we could say is the last part of a reset. Because now we're talking about the 1940s, we're not talking about the 1850s here.
No.
Remember, this is very interesting that you've got this sort of later timeline spin on it. What would be the purpose of wiping out all what are they hiding? What was this architecture all about? What is this Antiquitech?
Well, there's two reasons to wipe it out. One is that they can't explain who built it, so they'll have a very poor story behind the architect. So if you pick a building like this, for example, there'll be a weak narrative, and if you start digging, you'll find out maybe the architect didn't exist. Maybe the build time was a lot quicker than it's possible. A lot of the World's Fairs, and you showed an image of one a moment ago. That one was built in 9 months. There's no records of who built it. There's no records of any materials coming in and out of the area. There's nothing to say where the granite and marble or glass came from. Nothing at all. And they're all done within 9 months, usually. And they often have accidental fires or they're demolished. They were old buildings, old Tartarian, I'm using that term, Tartarian cities that were painted in white. They were whitewashed. They put someone in place to be credited as the architect, but they're perhaps someone who helped with the renovation or repurposing of it. So people were starting to ask questions. These buildings are not new. Why are we painting them white? This one's showing signs of erosion, but you're saying we've just built it. And if you look at any images, early images of World's Fairs, the people wandering around don't know what's going on. And you won't see any kids, which is strange. So that was one of the reasons that they needed to get rid of the buildings. But the second one is due to how they were built and why. So, inside those buildings, they were harnessing energy. They were powering lighting. They all resonate at 432 hertz. So you could go into one to meditate and you would balance your chakras technically. And come out with a sense of euphoria and feeling a lot better for it. So that one there, 9 months to build.
Wow.
Yeah, 9 months, and that's
I've seen people try and debunk it by saying, this was they had fake facades. They were pouring concrete polymers in. It was very quick. These weren't real buildings. They were mock-ups.
Yeah, they might want to look a bit deeper into that because the main building at that particular World's Fair had something like 300 bedrooms in it. People were staying overnight. So are you staying in a building that's made out of plasterboard and
paper mache?
Me and my partner Becky S, when we went to Prague, we went on a little Tartarian tour with some old maps and stuff at the World's Fairs, and we actually found some old World's Fair buildings that were still there, and one of them is now a cocktail bar, which we went and had a drink in, and I can tell you now there's nothing fake or temporary about the building.
I bet the walls are like 2 or 3 foot thick, like solid rock.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Yeah, so and it's the same thing with all of them. And sometimes all of the time actually, you'll find that the architect that Wikipedia will give you won't have built anything like it before and never did afterwards either.
Yeah, it's a one-off.
Yeah, they're always in their mid-20s as well. They'll typically come from a background where their parents were farmers or something like that. So it's quite poor. But I don't think when they decided to come out with these stories, I don't think they thought that 100 years later, 150 years later, people were going to be looking into it and picking it all apart. Crystal Palace in London's another good example of that. 264,000 panes of glass, all allegedly made in Birmingham and shipped down on a coal barge.
And blown in ditches, apparently. That's how they used to shape the glass. Apparently, they used to blow it and mould it in ditches in the ground. That's what the story
ridiculous.
is. Yeah, it's horseshit.
And then I spoke to someone who I think he just wanted to have an argument, and he said, well, they brought in labour from other towns. I said, oh, did they? Can you show me that, please? I'd like to see that, where you got that document from. What is it you're showing me? Wage bills? The names of the people, the hotels that they stayed in? Oh, no, they stayed in tents on the site. I said, no, they didn't. There's no photographs of that. And what you're saying is that instead of building the buildings that were done at the same time in the towns and cities they came from, all of these skilled stonemasons suddenly appeared in Chicago, then St. Louis, and so on. And all around the world, this happened at exactly the same time. but at the same time, their buildings were being constructed in the cities that they came from as well. So where did those people come from? Do you know what I mean? So it's just not possible. And the further you look into them, the more unbelievable it gets.
No, absolutely. So just to actually go back in time a little bit, if we're talking about the last remnants of these buildings being bombed the crap out of, we're talking about execution of the last bloodlines of Tartaria in the 1940s. When does this mud flood? Because I think this photo here is this evidence of a mud flood?
Yeah, so that's what a mud flood looks like, and then there's quite a few photos out there, but that's one of the better ones. Well, it happened everywhere, so I'd imagine whereabouts are you two?
We're in Bournemouth on the south coast.
Bournemouth. So if you have a look into the history of Bournemouth, I would have thought somewhere in the 1800s, might be late 1700s, might even be very early 1900s, there'll have been a fire or a flood. So that's what they tended to do in the smaller towns. They just have a fire. Someone will knock something over and the whole town's burnt down. That then gives them an opportunity to knock down some of the buildings they don't want to explain, keep some of the better ones for governmental purposes. So it could be town hall, post office, sometimes banks or insurance companies. One out in the sticks might go to, someone related to the Rothschilds or someone who's helping or influential. But in places like places like America, there's one that's worth looking into called the Quake of New Madrid. And that was in 1812, and that was an earthquake. And what that did was resulted in literally what you're looking at there. And it was so intense that the Mississippi River actually changed direction. Metal objects were flying through the air, nothing that you would associate with an earthquake. And there's a brilliant researcher out there, and I had her on my channel a while back, called Michelle Gibson. She's got her own channel. She's worth looking into. She says how they did all of this, how they caused the fires, the floods, the earthquakes, which happened everywhere. They had earthquakes all over the world at a similar time. Was somebody spiked the Earth's electromagnetic grid, ley lines, if you like. Someone spiked that. Something somehow spiked it, caused a surge everywhere that just created mud floods. So a lot of these images will show, some of these will be suggested as being construction photos, but they're not. They're people digging houses out. And evidence of that is what they refer to as mud flood windows. So next time you're walking down a town, there we go. You'll often see just the top of a window poking out from the pavement, and they'll say, well, that's the servants' quarters, or that's to let light into a basement. No, it's not. If you go in the building, you'll see that it's a full-sized window. Just 3/4 of it is covered by the road or the pavement. But there's often a layer underneath that as well. Could be another story, 2 or 3 down. Now we know to dig down to make a basement is problematic. You have issues with damp and so on. It's also harder to do. So why wouldn't you just go up if you want another story? I mean, what would you rather have? Would you rather have a basement or another story to your house? So there's no logical sense to it. And it's everywhere. These mud flood windows are everywhere. So what they tend to do is something that would have been a balcony or a large grand window becomes the front door. And often they'll have steps up to it. And if you think about it, putting several steps to the entrance to a building makes it more problematical, to move things in and out of, to get in and out yourself, especially if it's icy or wet. And you imagine carrying furniture in, instead of just walking through a front door, you've now got to go up steps, and sometimes quite a few of them. And at a time in which, there wasn't someone popping out with a Stannah chairlift to get you up, or a wheelchair ramp. It doesn't make any logical sense. And we actually had an art gallery in Devon, and it was in a town called Tiverton, and that had a fire.
I know Tiverton very well.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. My parents have. I used to spend a lot of time in Dawlish next to when I was.
Yeah,
little.
I know Dawlish.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in Tiverton, on a street called Gold Street, we had an art gallery, and didn't think anything of it. It had a couple of stories above it. But it had a basement. And it was really strange because when the landlord showed us around, we went downstairs into the basement, and there was a back door that went out to a courtyard. And I said, well, this is strange. Why would a basement, or how does a basement have a back door and a courtyard? And he said, well, there was a fire. So what they did was they pushed everything into the street and then built it up. So this was originally the ground floor of the building, and the original front doors were behind a stud wall. And it's everywhere. But what they'd done is they'd put, so you went out to the back door of the what was the cellar into a courtyard, and then you could walk out of the courtyard, go up some steps, about a dozen steps, and you were back onto the you'd walk round the building, you're back onto the high street again. And this is everywhere. People will find it's everywhere, and all you got to think is building tunnels underground, building levels 2, 3, 4 levels underground is not straightforward. You know, it's very difficult to do, and they have issues with damp. You wouldn't do it, so why is it there? Do a bit of research on the town, and you'll find that it had a fire or a flood, and that's why.
So you're putting this phenomenon, this mud flood, whether it was localized, whether it was happening in different times around the world, in the mid to late 1800s, or was it okay?
No, it happened over a very long period of time. But the one I was referring to, the big one that's quite well documented, is the the quake of New Madrid, and that was 1812, so early 1800s. But it was done over a long period of time because some of these smaller towns, it was caused by accidental fires, and so the Jesuits, who were the Phoenicians before, slowly infiltrated most organizations, most businesses, most local governments, and so on across the world. And so it happened gradually. And so therefore, at certain points, they would have a fire, a flood. But the larger places like Lisbon in Portugal, and as I said earlier on, New Madrid, the New Madrid quake in America, they appear to have been spikes into the ley lines or the earth, because the earth basically is an electric circuit board.
So just to confirm, you are sort of really saying that this reset phenomenon in all of its manifestations, whether it's mud floods, earthquakes, fires, was something deliberately done by the Jesuits and their agents. Is this what you're suggesting?
Absolutely.
And it was done by spiking the ley lines of the earth using some sort of electromagnetic something.
Yeah. So that and the person that I studied to get.
Sorry, I should have warned you. We have sound effects here.
Yeah, it's Michelle Gibson that taught me that. I'd been looking into it for a long time. I suspected originally it was direct energy weapons, and some people claim that they were using direct energy weapons from airships, because airships were quite big at the time. You know, during the Tartarian Empire, airships were the form of travel, and it was also known as not just the Tartarian Empire or the Millennial Reign of Christ or the Old World, but it was also known as the Empire of Free Travel and the Empire of Free Energy. It's referred to in different terms. And so some people suggest that direct energy weapons were being used to do this in certain places. And that's what I believed up until speaking to Michelle Gibson, who said, yeah, that definitely aligns with her research. But these quakes, the earthquakes that happened everywhere, were more likely the earth being spiked. And the more she looked into it, the more evidence she found that appears to have been the case, that they'd spiked the ley lines. Very
interesting. Now, there's another term that you've just mentioned there for the second time tonight, which I've got to pull you up on, and I'd like you to elaborate on. The Millennial Reign of Christ.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. We're not Christians here, so this is something we are not familiar with. So you're not a Christian either. You're not coming at this
not
from
religious at all.
Okay,
no.
What is your understanding of this phenomenon, and how are you applying it to this timeline that we're speculating here?
So we know, we know the Bible's based upon the Epic of Gilgamesh, and we know that religion is really indoctrination. I guess originally used to control people, to give them something to be fearful of. I mean, if you read the Bible, and I've said this several times, and I do believe that there was a figure called Jesus or someone similar that the story's based upon. But in the Bible, it does actually state that you're not supposed to go somewhere to pray. It's something you do in solitude. And you certainly don't do it to somebody who claims to be in charge or connected to God at a higher level than you are. Now, to me, God is the creator. Gaia, Mother Nature, a huge source of energy. I don't know what it is. I don't believe it's a man with a beard sitting in the clouds. And obviously with all the Bible and so on, and the Torah being based upon really the Epic of Gilgamesh, we've got to go back there. But the millennial reign of Christ is a period of 1,000 years where things will be built in harmony and balance, where people will live in harmony and balance, and they will say that buildings like cathedrals and these incredible star forts that are worth having a look at online, and the World's Fairs, they're built by the angels. Now, they didn't mean that specifically as angels, but they mean a higher level of consciousness, a better understanding. There's a star fort, defensive fortresses that just happen to align with constellations and resonate at 432 hertz, the Earth's frequency for all living matter. So hardly a requirement for a defensive fortress. It also happens to be exactly the same shape as water makes with crystallized water when it's subjected to 432 hertz. So you don't really need that as a form of defense, do you? That's not part of your strategy when you're sat down in the war rooms deciding how you're going to fight and defend your town or city or somewhere in the middle of bloody nowhere. It's really important that not only do we have good access to hit the enemy with cannons and later on with guns and so on, but it's important that it aligns to Orion's belt and resonates at 432 hertz.
These basically look like cymatics.
Yeah, it is cymatics. Yeah,
yeah,
that's exactly what it is. Which is what cymatics are. If you look at church windows, cathedral windows, that's cymatics. The shape of every single round church window, cathedral window will be a different frequency using cymatics, so adjusting, which are obviously all correlates to different notes in music.
Do you know what I always thought was strange about the official spiel about what these are? They're defensive forts. The official spiel is that they're shaped like this to make them easier to defend and more difficult to attack. But when I look at them, I think, well, surely this is much more difficult to defend because there's so many more places that the enemy could attack you from, rather than you just having a round fort where the enemy has nowhere to hide, nowhere to sneak up on you from. Do you know what I mean? This actually looks much more difficult to defend.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're right. So if you look at an old castle, the turrets are round, which gives you 360 degrees worth of vision there. If you're at the point of one of those things, you can only see really what's in front of you and perhaps 90 degrees either side. You'd have to have people all over the place because they could come in from any direction.
Yeah.
But the millennial reign of Christ is a period of 1,000 years. So if you look at Jesus was born in 3 BC, allegedly, and is said to reign for 1,000 years. So Anatoly Fomenko, the Russian scientist, was the first person to really crack that our timeline's been altered and that they added 800 years. The Jesuits added 800 years to our timeline. We know that they changed the calendar, 28 days in a month, 13 months a year, which works better. So Anatoly Fomenko worked out that 800 years had been added, and a period of time called the Dark Ages, perhaps the Middle Ages too, never really existed. They've just used that to show this slow progression of humanity and civilization. So if you remove 800 years from 1776, which was the start of New World Order and the last Great Reset, there've been lots of resets since, but the last Great Reset, the year would have been 976. So 976 from 3 BC, 979, you're what, 21 years away from it actually being a millennial reign. So, and that's not saying that Jesus or whoever this person was, I mean, his real name is Yeshua, but it's not saying that person reigned and lived for 1,000 years. It's saying the ethos, the understanding.
Is it like Christ consciousness? Is it that idea?
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. That's exactly what it is.
I get that.
Yeah, and then that ended because by then the Jesuits had infiltrated everywhere and started to that's when the damage started and the rot set in.
So
And
can I just pin you down on some dates there? Are you suggesting that the millennial reign of the Christ consciousness ended in 1776? Did I get that right?
Yeah, on the 4th of July, 1776.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and that's I like that. So yeah, I mean, you can see that from the American dollar bill. It says New World Order in Latin, and then in Roman numerals 1776. It was the Declaration of Independence, and the bastardized Statue of Liberty, which is now proposing to be Lucifer with its chain broken free around its ankle. It's holding the Declaration of Independence on the statue with 1776. But if you look at the M, the first M, first letter, first Roman numeral, it's out of alignment with the rest of them. So that was added. So yeah, the 4th of July, and a lot of people think that Satan's little season, or New World Order, which we're in now, would only last 250 years, but we shall see, because that would be up next year. So I don't think that that's exactly right. I think it's going to be a little bit longer than that, but I think things are going to come to a head. I think next year we'll see some significant things happen, because it's this Satan's little season that's sort of introduced things to corrupt us, to damage our minds. We've now got, everything's wrong, isn't it? What kids are subjected to at school. They've been going to school and being taught about masturbation and stuff at primary school, and we got this whole transhumanist agenda going on, and the woke thing, and everything seems to be out of control. That's them. It's chaos. 250 years of screwing with people's heads and taking them out of alignment and out of balance, and consumerism, and not really living for the right reasons. People just stuck in a mundane job, having to work harder to pay their bills. That's not why we're here. That was never the purpose of us. And they kind of just taken humanity and destroyed it. And they're poisoning us too, not just our minds, but our bodies. And obviously we know how they do that. The very air we breathe, the water that we drink, calcify our pineal glands. We can't have that connection, or our third eye doesn't work so well anymore. But the hope is that once we're through this, then it will go back to how it was before. I mean, that's what's predicted. So we'll just have to see. But I think things are going to get a lot worse before they get better.
You've sparked my imagination there by talking about Satan's little season and this date of 1776. I'd just like to throw something on the table. Maybe you're familiar with it. I'm sure you probably are. And I'd like to ask how you think this event and this character might fit into this. Are you familiar with the events of 1666 and a character called... No, I'm not talking about the Fire of London here.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about the rise of a character called Shabbatai Zevi.
That's a name that I've heard, but it's not something I've researched. My research into 1666 is actually to do with the creation of us being a dead legal fiction, and the Vatican declaring everybody dead internationally. Legally dead.
Well, if that's what your speciality is, let's talk about that. But while we're on Satan's little season and the significance of that, because that's not something I'm so familiar with.
Well, first of all, if you look at as I was telling you about the timeline being falsified, so 800 years are added to the timeline, but 800 years is a lot harder to do with buildings and documents, so they put a 1 in front. So the Great Fire or an M. So the Great Fire of London in 1666 is 666. We've got to remove the first digit. And anyone who's interested in looking into that further needs to really jump online and look at Anatoly Fomenko. I broke it down in my first book to make it easy for people, but he's worth researching. So 1666, the Great Fire of London. It's called great for a reason. All these things are called great for a very specific reason. So what happened during the Great Fire of London was that the Vatican decided that they were going to reset, and everyone was declared dead. Internationally, everyone was declared to have died as a result of the Great Fire of London. And then this dead legal fiction was created. So that's where we are now, this full caps. In America, they call it the straw man. So over here, we have this dead legal fiction where when the government or a bank or anything like that writes you, your name appears in full caps.
Yeah, I know about that. I didn't know this was linked to the Fire of London, though.
Yeah. So it was that was the purpose of the Great Fire of London. It was a reset, but it was specifically to do that. It wasn't someone knocking something over in Pudding Lane in London. It was nothing like that at all. So yeah, that was done by the Vatican, and the reason it's called great is to do with ancestry. Each time you put a great in somewhere, it removes one generation. One generation is removed, so the memory goes. So your great grandparents, what they would have told your grandparents about how things were would have been quite limited, and then your grandparents take a far more diluted history and pass that on to your parents, and then your parents can't really remember much. Granddad never used to talk about the war, that kind of thing. So they call it great because it's actually to do with removing one generation's memory.
That's crazy that you just said that, right? Because I was having this thought a couple of weeks ago about the phenomenon of your great grandparents, and I was thinking about resets and stuff. And I can remember my great nan. She used to be called Little Nan because she looked like my nan, but she was little. And we just about remember her in her 90s when we were small. But many people don't even get to meet their great grandparents, and it's very, very rare that anyone is in the generational space to meet a great great grandparent. And obviously, they are taking that knowledge forward of the way that they lived. Before a time when your grandparents. Do you see what I mean? So that is really the sort of generational memory that your average peasant has. Is basically, if they're lucky, to their great grandparents, which is only 1, 2, 3 actually 2 generations back, depending on how you look at it. And I was having this thought just the other day, and now that you've said that the word great actually signifies
memory loss.
That's
like a great reset.
Yeah, that's why it's used. That's why the
Let me tell you, unbelievable.
Thank you, Jimmy Savile.
Yeah,
amazing.
So it's very specific. So great reset, great grandparents, great war, the Great War, the First World War, Great Fire of London, Great Fire of Chicago. It's always great. What's great about war? What's great about a fire?
The Great Wall of China, raising Tartaria.
Whenever you see great, it's a little bit now if we see the word smart in front of something like
smart
good call.
Motorway,
smartphone.
It means retarded.
Meter. Absolutely, it means the reverse.
Yeah.
So it's an element of control. So they use the word great very specifically.
I think it's about time that we spoke about cloning.
Good, because I need to go to bed soon. I'm an old man.
I know, mate. I know. We've already gone into extended time, but this has been an awesome chat so far. Let's start with this image, right? Because and I've got these images all in the order you gave to me, which they're going to go into the Cabbage Patch Kids in a minute. So this cloning, is this cloning phenomenon to do with us, i.e., the regular peasants, or is it to do with their bloodlines? This is something I've always been a bit confused about.
Yeah, so basically the bloodlines weren't cloned, that's for sure, and the key families that were involved after the reset weren't either. So what they did was they repopulated, and they did it very quickly. I told you the figures; they doubled the population in 100 years, but you've got to add into that fact. Well, you've got to factor in 3.35 billion people had also died. So there was a significant boom of children. Now they were distributed. Some were orphans. 250,000 in America were orphans, and they were distributed across the world, not just America, to repopulate. So that is connected to the Cabbage Patch Babies, which is the proposal that they used cloning, and you might think that that's a relatively new thing, but not according to the Bible, it isn't, or the Elohim, or the Anunnaki stories, or the Epic of Gilgamesh. It's not new at all. And as I said earlier on, if cloning is a metaphor, if taking Adam's rib and creating another life from it is a metaphor, well, it's a bloody good metaphor because it's describing cloning, and it's an old book. So, clearly the knowledge of doing this is quite old. So, yeah, a combination of things were used. So you got the phenomenon of the Cabbage Patch Baby postcards suddenly becoming popular with the nickname of repopulation postcards. Lots of babies suddenly appearing, and they were put on display in World's Fairs, and they could be purchased there. They were being distributed through baby farms, And then ultimately the older ones used to were being shipped around by the orphan train movement. In America, that took kids that were homeless or came from poor families and shipped them to Midwest America to go and work in coal mines and on farms. And that's where the term miner comes from. And don't believe what you've read. Miner, calling a child a miner comes from the fact that they were sent down the mines to mine. They're miners. So it's a clever play on words. So yes, they repopulated children, and they were distributed all over the world, but along with orphans as well, mixed in, because
Yeah,
parents are gone.
I was just going to say, because to play devil's advocate, naysayers that poo-poo this line of thought will say, well, actually, back in those days, people, European people all around Europe were having on an average 6 to 10 kids. That people had more kids than they knew what to do with. That's why all these kids were shipped to the New World, and you can actually perfectly explain it away with the huge numbers of children which people used to have, and they always had spare kids that they would sell. They could, too many kids. What would you say to that?
Well, first of all, it's partly true.
Right. Okay.
There's evidence of poor families actually selling children, but it's quite rare. And also, it's worth looking into the actual lifespan of a lot of these children. The reason that these families were having large numbers of children is because not many of them survived. Now, so that again doesn't actually stack up. So, what this line of thought would suggest that people would have half a dozen kids and then sell a couple, or couldn't cope with two, so gave a couple away, and that's not the case. In extreme circumstances, children were sold, and there is evidence of that. Poor families, or given away, or sent to Australia for the chance of a better life, in theory.
Weren't they sent in the post as well?
Yeah, but that's not quite as bad as it sounds. They were actually, so if you were sending your child somewhere to go and stay with another family or your grandparents across America, they were actually chaperones. So they just had stamps attached to them. They got on the train, they'd sit with a guard. They were chaperoned the whole way. It's pretty horrific, really, but probably quite frightening for the kid. But it's not, they weren't put through the mail as such. They were actually just sent on a train with a chaperone. So they were distributed. But yeah, so people had larger families, and my granddaddy's one of them. He was one of 9. So people absolutely had large families, but we're going back a little bit earlier than that. And the life expectancy then was a lot less. What they did was they caused civil wars, the Napoleonic Wars perhaps being one of the bigger ones. And at the same time, they started to introduce the Lunacy Act while these civil wars are going on. And what that meant was, one of the grounds that you could be committed for and actually sent to an asylum was if your husband had died in battle.
Wow.
So you get locked up, the children become property of the state, and then they're shipped wherever you want to go with no history, no knowledge of what was going on before, how the old world was. So yes, you've got children that were taken from families, absolutely, but not 3.35 billion. That's a bit extreme, because you've got to look at those numbers. You can't double the population and lose 3 times the population within just 100 years. We are up in the billions, just because people had a few more kids. You've also got to look at the life expectancy. A lot of people were living in poverty. Children weren't normally, if you had 3 or 4 kids, you weren't expecting them all to actually reach puberty, let alone go on to become adults, parents and grandparents themselves. That didn't happen really until the sort of 1900s, late 1800s, when you could expect the children to actually survive with better access to clean water and food and so on. There was a lot of famines, forced famines as well, so a lot of people died. So it was a complete clean-up operation. And incidentally, with the incubator babies, those babies were for sale at the end. The Dr. Martin Cooney, who created the incubator babies, wasn't a doctor. That isn't even his real name. He's got no medical training or background at all, no qualifications. And the children that were on display were premature babies. Now, at the time that they went on display, there was a problem with too many homeless kids, to the point where they said it's an issue. We've got too many children and not enough homes for them. What are we going to do with them all? You don't then develop something to save the lives of children, babies that wouldn't have naturally survived, if you've already got a problem. That doesn't stack up. And then the first narrated movie comes out by someone called Alice Guy, a French movie director, producer, and actress. And that's worth looking at. That's on YouTube. Alice Guy, and the first one's called The Cabbage Fairy. So she brings out this movie all about children being plucked from cabbages and then sold to middle-class couples. She was inspired by the whole concept, if you like, by going to the World's Fair in Paris and seeing Martin Cooney's exhibition of the incubator babies. But the problem is, the film came out a year before he actually did that. So, it's quite weak. But the key is in the name. These Cabbage Patch postcards were also known as repopulation postcards, and some of them do actually state that on there.
We've got one here. Let's go back to it. We did show it a moment ago. Here we go.
Yeah, I mean, that's got Masonic symbology in it. If you look just above the man, you can see the.
I see it. Yeah, just over a lot on the top of his back.
Yeah,
it looks like the baby, the funnel that the baby's being fed into is actually a cornucopia as well.
Yes, well spotted, and they're putting seeds in. They're putting cabbage seeds in and rose seeds in to create.
Look, it's got. Look at the bottom right.
You could say that the two tanks at the top represent the two twin pillars of Joachim and Boaz as well. If you really wanted to go deeper,
there's more symbology too. I mean, you've got the woman is wearing the red dress.
She's got a key dangling from her belt.
Yeah,
and the other dude's got a lock on the thing. If you look at the bottom right as well, there's a square and compass.
Yeah, and so the woman there is, the Scarlet Woman. She's Richard Branson's Virgin. She's Rosemary's Baby. She's the Law of Babylon. She's mass-producing children. And there's the symbology. And that's perhaps one of the best examples of these repopulation postcards.
At the top it says number 34. It's only one number away from Magic 33.
And the time's midnight.
Yeah, I was going to say it's midnight.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. And the little baby saying bonjour, papa. And that little speech bubble there.
Yeah, coming out of a machine, yeah.
So, you are suggesting that when you say Rise of the Clones, the title of this book, do you actually mean the repopulation after the last Great Reset, that we are the clones, or we the descendants of the clones? Is that what you're suggesting?
No. I'm sort of more with Dolores Cannon's train of thought with that there is a massive amount of people out there that we would refer to as an NPC now.
Yes, we're familiar with this terminology. Yeah.
Yeah. So Dolores Cannon would say people that have no soul, or people that don't have a connection, and I would say these are people with no inner dialogue, and the reason for that is that we carry the memory of our ancestors in our DNA, and we know that. So when you go to school and it doesn't really relate to you, and you're staring out the window, or something happens in 2020 and you're offered a medical intervention and it just doesn't sit right with you, or you're checking the ingredients and wondering why industrial oil is being used in the food you're about to buy, where you see rapeseed oil. What's that about? Why are they giving that to me? Why is there fluoride in the water? And so when you're questioning these things, I think it's because there's this inbuilt knowledge that's been passed down to you that how we live now isn't how we're supposed to live. This isn't how it's supposed to be, and some things aren't quite right. And then you've got a lot of people, the majority, that will actually go along with whatever you tell them. They watch the news, they do what they're told, they go and vote thinking that their vote actually counts and makes a difference. Also there's a lot of propaganda that they'll push. They'll share news clips on YouTube and on Facebook with other people. Oh, have you seen this today? And Keir Starmer said that today. Turn the news off. This is propaganda. So these people don't carry that memory. They don't have that inner dialogue. There's nothing making them question what's going on. There's no conflict going on between the hemispheres. They're not battling with themselves to try and understand why we live like this and who's trying to poison us. So my argument would be that they descend from cloning, or it's stronger in their bloodline. So
Yeah.
there may well be that one of my grandparents is the result of cloning. But ultimately, we all are. You know, whether you're following the Anunnaki, the Elohim, or the Bible and the story in Genesis of Adam and Eve, or Lilith, and
Sure.
we're talking about cloning one way or another. Or we're going to look at Darwin's theory of evolution and the origin of species that he wrote, which was funded by the Vatican. So he had control, they had control over an alternative narrative before somebody else started to question it. So that's fundamentally flawed. And, you know, we evolved to meet our ever-changing environment. I'm lactose intolerant, I get hay fever, and I burn when I stand in the sun. God, my evolution skills are really impressive, aren't they? Look at how well I've developed. So I think there's probably a bit of clone in many of us, some more than others. And some of us, for different reasons, are more subdued. It could be a medical intervention. It could be something that you took when you were younger at the quacks. There could be a number of reasons for that, and things that you're exposed to too. So it may be that your sibling doesn't relate to what you're talking about, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they're a clone and you're not. Our life experiences and also any traumas and so on can certainly make some sort of difference, and how calcified our pineal gland isn't going to exactly help. But I'd say that the mass of the people out there, the ones we call sheep, the people that aren't awake, there is a good reason for that. And shouting at them, hoping that they're going to wake up one day, is not going to make any difference. Their brains just don't work the same way.
Now, earlier on, you said that you don't think the elites are cloned. What about?
No, I don't believe so.
What about certain bloodlines that might not be at Pepe Orsini level that operate in the public eye? People like your Zuckerbergs and your Epsteins.
Health Chancellor Gates.
Because there's a certain bloodline that some people refer to as Jewish, but it's a lot more complicated. That this sort of Khazar, Ashkenazi
thing.
The bloodline that there seem to be these players throughout history that appear white European but call themselves Jewish. Because I've seen pictures of Epstein and he looks exactly the same as these historic figures. And people are saying these people are meat sleeves. They're just regenerated over the years. What do you think about that idea?
Yeah, well, to answer your first question, I think it's lazy to just say, "Oh, it's the Jews." I think that's quite a lazy thing to do, because you've got to look at the fact that, like the Rothschilds, for example, converted. So they weren't actually really Jewish. They're not Jewish. It's not in their blood. They've just decided to be Jewish. So that's not really the case. But yeah, Zuckerbergs and Gates and people like that, you'll find that they're going to be distant cousins, or people that have bought their way in. But if you look at, say Gates, for example, or Zuckerberg, they didn't invent anything. Zuckerberg's worth a deep dive on. I've got some information on him, but it's unfortunately not stuff I can put onto Facebook for obvious reasons. But I have got something on some quite good information on Bill Gates, which I am going to censor slightly before I put it up on Facebook, which I will do over the next few days. But yeah, I mean, Facebook was actually created by the military, and Zuckerberg was just put in the chair to do it, to head it up. So yeah, these people are either influential families that are connected. It could be through business, it could be through marriage, or they're people that actually have bought their way in. So someone who's became very wealthy, very successful, is then approached and perhaps given a seat on the top table.
So you don't think these people are NPCs? These are actual evil, sentient meat suit operators?
Yeah. And with regard to, are they being regenerated, as in, now we're talking about, I guess we're talking about sort of people being able to regenerate, or people that are immortal.
Yeah, to consciously, what's the word?
Respawn.
To respawn. Yeah, to respawn.
Yeah, so that's kind of Project Lazarus that Clonaid offer as a service. Clonaid, they offer that as a service where they can put your consciousness into another being, a clone of you. So yeah,
But that's a real service now.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it true?
Allegedly, it's offered on their website. Yeah, I've
Wow.
written about it in my.
Has
my
anyone
second
actually
book.
Are there any, is there any like testimonies of it working?
No, oh no. You won't find anything on that. You basically fill a form out on their website, and then within a few days, a consultant contacts you. And I think everything takes place in Mexico, where the laws are a lot laxed. They were
Holy shit!
This is fucking high.
Because
level.
I was watching the new, it's called Alien Earth. You know the Alien film franchise. Well, it's got a series now, and the first episode was on Monday, and I'm quite a fan of that movie franchise. And the first episode was actually all about that. These disabled kids having their consciousness transferred into a synthetic body. They were called hybrids, and they were saying the future will be controlled by the race to immortality, and it has 3 routes. The first one is cyborgs, which is humans that are genetically and biologically, technologically altered. The second one was synths, which are artificial intelligence in synthetic bodies. And the third was hybrids, which is human consciousness in synthetic bodies. This was the opening credits on the screen of the first episode. I was like, shit, this is going to be good. And lo and behold, it is good. It's got, I've seen 2.
Is that on Disney?
It's on Disney Plus. Only 2 episodes are out. And so far, fully recommend it, yeah. And straight away, I was like, well, for you to say that that's already allegedly a service in Mexico.
Yeah, so
which company is it that does it, Guy?
Clonaid. They're the
Clonaid.
Yeah,
Clonaid.
Kind of the market leaders in cloning. Yeah, I mean, there are lots of companies out there that clone animals. You can get your dog cloned, and
Should we fucking fill out a form and then like wait till the consultant rings and we can record the consultants?
What happened when you tried, Guy?
Never heard anything back. I wanted to speak to them because I've written a chapter about Clonaid in my book. And I wanted to speak to somebody there, and it was impossible. But I just never heard anything. But I've been looking into them for a very long time. But that's a real deep dive, and that would take a whole bloody evening to explain exactly who they are and what they're about. But Clonaid is worth digging. No, French.
I had to ask. I'm sorry.
French originally.
Usually some Israeli tech company doing something like that in another company.
Case. No, it's someone who believes that they actually communicate with the Elohim. It's a bloke called Real who founded the company, who was a French motor racing driver.
Wait a minute, is he anything to do with that religion called realism?
He founded that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he's the founder of realism, and which
is all about cloning.
Holy potato!
Yeah, it's the Elohim. You see, the Elohim cloned us to create man, or the Anunnaki, depending on which one you prefer, and it's the same story. And so he's all about cloning.
The symbol for his religion, let me just get the symbol for his religion is very similar to this. It is basically, it's like a swastika. Oh no, it's not similar to this. It's a swastika built into the Star of David.
Yes, it is, yeah.
But it reminds me a bit of this, the Freemason symbol. It's a bit like this. It's just everything schwabbed into one. Very interesting subject is realism.
Yeah, so I've been studying it for quite some time. So I've written a chapter on it. So kind of my book, Rise of the Clones, that's the second book. The first one's Tezra and the Cabbage Patch Kids, about Tartaria. But the Rise of the Clones, it goes back to the very beginning. You know, the story in the Epic of Gilgamesh, and then the Bible, hybrids, inbreeding, blood groups, Ancestry.com, and then ultimately cloning and the pitfalls to it, and a few analogies, and celebrity cloning, dumb base is what goes on there, and so it's kind of a deep dive into that if people are interested. I've kind of spent years, about 12 years, looking at cloning.
People already requesting that you come back on the show to talk about it more.
Yeah, sure, I'd love to.
I'm quite conscious we have had you for
nearly 2 hours.
And you said an hour.
I'm normally in bed by now.
You said an hour to an hour and a half, and I'm very, very conscious of that, mate. So I just
thank you. Well, your body heals between 10 and 2, so you need to be asleep to produce serotonin, antibiotics, and so on. And that happens between 10 at night and 2 in the morning, providing you're asleep.
Yeah, that's good information right there.
If you want to heal and avoid going to the quacks, you do. I know it's cool to stay up late. Not at my age, it's not, but I know it's cool to stay up late, but it's actually completely destroying you. You know, if you want to heal and you want to deal with inflammation, pain, maybe you struggle with your mental health, you need to produce more serotonin. That happens between 10 at night and 2 in the morning.
Does it matter what time zone you're in?
No, because it's connected to your body clock. So
Right.
We've got some great feedback already. Ashley Styles is saying, I've heard Guy a few times before, but this chat was more informative than all the others. Thank you very much.
You asked me some really cool questions, and normally people just talk about Tartaria, but you've actually asked me some stuff that I don't normally get asked.
Well, we like to cover a multitude here on Rise Above.
Yeah, it's always going to be different.
Yeah, and normally I'm only
on
on for, most chats I've done, I'm normally on for about an hour or so, and there's only so much you can fit in an hour.
Yeah.
So I think we've done we've
I
explored
think we've got to have you back on to talk about, especially about Railism, mate, because I've seen Bro Sanchez talk about it. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's got a big following in America. He talks about it quite a lot. I'd like to hear your take on it. But on that note,
ask Guy one question.
Go on, your last question, Andy.
Because we have people in the comments just won't forgive me if I don't ask you. Are you aware of the work by Jason Brashears? Archaics.
Yes. I used to follow him. Yeah, I used to find.
What do you think of his work? What's your take on his work and his? What's your take on his take?
I think that I think he's seriously well researched. I think that he's and his story as well is fantastic. I mean, he's spent an awful lot of time researching and learning, and I think some of his information is amazing, and some of it I don't agree with, but. He's probably coming from a different direction to me. I research different things to him, but yeah, he's very well established and very well respected. But he's not someone that I follow these days.
Right.
I've sort of gone down a different path to him.
Okay.
One last micro question: flat or round?
No idea until I circumnavigate.
Good answer.
There's no way to know. I mean, I would like to. I don't believe we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. It doesn't really seem to make any sense. I think the world's a bit bigger than we've been told. There may be other things going on out there.
Totally down with you on this.
Yeah.
But I think we've got to actually go and find out for ourselves, because my gut is when we're told A or B, the answer's probably C.
Boom. We are so down with that. The third option is something we've talked about for almost 5 years now. Someone that used to came on the show introduced us to this concept, and we've run with it. And you've just, option C should be the first default. Guy, where is the best place that people can go if they want to see and hear and ingest more of your work?
Well, probably my website, because that's got links on it. So if they want to talk to me on Facebook, or they want to go on YouTube or whatever, the links are on my website, so it's probably easier to do that, and then you've got everything on one place. It's called the Tartarian Empire.co.uk, but they can find me on Facebook. But it's easier to go on my website, because I put a blog on there. There's things I blog that I can't put on Facebook. They can read a bit about my books. They can read a bit about me, but also they can look at the links, and then they can go, right, well, I don't want to look at the website, but the link's there. I didn't have to write it down. Do you know what I mean?
It's good to collate the information in one place, so everyone can get everything they need in one place. That's important.
And the blog
that's good
as
work.
well. There's stuff on there that's sensitive.
Okay, excellent. So TartarianEmpire.com.
The Tartarian Empire.co.uk.
Oh, okay. Sorry. See, that's why.
Fuck that up, didn't you?
I just got that totally wrong. Sorry,
Yeah,
I was
I
trying to
need
read
to
the
use-
comments. There's too much going on here. Sorry, Guy.
I needed to use .co.uk because a lot of people buy my books from overseas, and it's important that they realise from the outset that I am in. I mean, it's not the United Kingdom, is it? But that I need them to understand that this is where I'm based. So, it might take a couple of weeks for the book to arrive. So I didn't want to use .com, because they'll just think I'm in America. And so that's why it's the TartarianEmpire.co.uk, just so people going on can see where I am if they don't check the address.
Awesome. On that note, on that last bit, Guy, I just want to say massive thank you for joining us. It's been so interesting. And we definitely want to speak to you again at some point. So thanks again for joining us, mate.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for having
Guy,
me on.
when I'm really interested in the subject, so I don't really say much. I was just digesting what you were reeling off there. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
I am nightmare fuel.
Nice one, Guy. Take care, bro. Rise above.
And you, thanks for having me
Rise
on.
above, generation
Cheers, mate.
Rise above, extinguish fear, rise above.
What a bloody awesome guest.
Wow.
Right, we're going to have a very short break. Then for half an hour, me and Andy are going to
Dissect some clown world.
dissect some clown world, chat the breeze, and yeah,
Plug our event.
Plug our event and tell you about some other stuff. Last a bit of Rise Above Live until October. So let me just put on a music video. I'm just going to find something. What do we fancy? Video storage. Uploads. What have we got here? We can have Don't Believe Me.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, don't believe we never played.
You like that?
Yeah.
It's Andy PG's favourite.
We never played that.
We'll be back soon.
Don't believe me? Don't believe me? Don't believe me? Go study history. Go study history. Politicians, professors, and scientists, controlled by some rioters. Through 2 world wars, they've been trying it. Corporate investment, no matter who the finalists. Don't believe me? Go study history. Check the activity of bloodline dynasty. Sumer, Egypt, and Rome. Consistently pan-European imperial misery. World conflicts enact social change, so they want it. But we must abstain, acquiesce, and you're in for a world of pain. A workhouse where you dream of a minimum wage. That's the plan, but it's closer than you think. We'd be there now if it wasn't for the cosmic shift. They're panicking, the game is up. It's all illusion, the only truth is love. Don't believe me? Don't believe me? This goes deep cause they rewrote the history books. You can't quote how the real history looks. Empires fried from the lands they took. We're in the same boat, it's kept afloat by crooks. Been the same way for more than 1,000 years. There's no love here, all you're allowed is fear. Break through the clouds so the sky is clear. Satanic whispers hidden in the sounds of prayers. Dark suits, cold hearts, no empathy. Fill positions of power in our embassy. Stone circles and burning effigies. Chanting mantras to bring forth energies. Secret meetings that map out our destinies. Hooded figures, manifest entities. Pollute our minds so we got no memory. For centuries helplessly trapped by the treachery. Don't believe me? Obelisks and illuminated torches. Landmarks of malevolent forces. Sorcerers aim to contain your mind state. Open your eyes where you're already blind, mate. You want the truth, better ask and why. Your worldview got squeezed through a needle's eye, and here's the proof. They extinguish lives, conflicts built on evil lies, no surprise. We don't know of no agenda, disguised from the light from the moment you enter. Survival of flight, you're a lifelong member. That's right, since they sliced the placenta. Now, welcome to the slave race. Very few will ever find out how the game's played. Unless you wake up, keep on playing it. They look at me and think, why is he saying it? Don't believe me? Don't believe me? Don't believe me? Go study. Don't believe me? Go study history. Go study history.
Fancy spending a whole weekend away from Clown World? Well prepared to take off your tinfoil hat and join us at the next Rise Above Live in the Flesh Part 2 August Bank Holiday Hotel Weekender. With 3 days of engaging talks, panel discussions, interactive workshops, nightly after parties, speed dating, meet new friends, socialise, network and make connections from Bournemouth's golden sandy beaches. Located 10 minutes away from Bournemouth train station at the Celebrity Hotel, come and join us on the 22nd, 23rd and 24th of August, this bank holiday 2025, and get your tickets on our website today. On Sunday, the 24th of August, we will be joined virtually by the final boss at the bottom of the rabbit hole, Jason Breishers of Archaics. For the first time ever, He will be in a three-way panel discussion with Martin Liedtke and Dave Murphy. Come and join us live in the flesh to be a part of this historic moment. Come and experience a world-class lineup of guest speakers at the next Rise Above Live in the Flesh August Bank Holiday Hotel Weekender, featuring Martin Liedtke, Wisdom of Mushrooms, Graham Moore, Richard Ryder, Toroidal Dynamics, Inspector Veg, Marcus Payne, Ryan Sanders, Tom W's, and allegedly Dave Murphy. You won't want to miss out on these speakers exposing the peasantry that is Clown World. Exclusively at our Rise Above Live in the Flesh Part 2 Bank Holiday Hotel Weekender on the 22nd, 23rd and 24th of August. Don't be a peasant and get your tickets on our website today.
Don't believe me?
1 2 1 2. We are back.
Word to you now.
Let me get rid of that video and get some extra screens to look really fucking cool. Big shout out to everyone still tuned in. 300 people still tuned in. What a guest! What a presentation!
Let me tell you, unbelievable.
Mate, he made me ask more questions than he answered there. I need to go back and watch that again.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen to that again.
And we definitely need to do a dig on realism.
And I want to do a dig on that fucking cloning firm.
Yeah, for sure.
You could
sure.
They're advertising that you can transfer your consciousness. Like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, you have to go to Mexico.
Like
The laws in Mexico allow you to do it. You could probably get it done in some Southeast Asian country as well, I bet.
That's so fucking.
You can probably get it done in China.
Like, we were
guaranteed.
talking about that a couple of years ago, weren't we? That's what we thought. Like, some of the Schwabery wasn't the.
So guys actually dropped some bombs on us there.
Fucking right. He dropped nukes, Michael.
He dropped some nukes. Right. Before we have a little bits and pieces of Clown World, I just do need to recapitulate a little bit and re-talk about some of the work that we've been doing out on the streets in the last couple of weeks. Because, listen, going forward, Rise Above might be going through some changes, and I've got a feeling that although we love the Friday Night Live show, going forward in the future, due to various factors, time constraints, we might have to be a bit more flexible about when we can make content.
Yes.
And going out on the streets, recording real life shit, local stories, national stories, it's getting such amazing feedback from the people that have seen it, from the clips. And obviously, what have we put so far on Patreon feature length? The first time we went to Bournemouth, the peasant perception test, that went Baywatch special, when we were just speaking to the peasants. You've only seen 1/3 of that on YouTube so far. We've got so much content, and it is very rewarding for us to get out of the studio. Andy PG, I can see, is loving it, going around with the microphone. He's absolutely in his element. This is something he's never done before. And
I interviewed Falcone.
Yeah, we at this thing last week. We haven't even told you. We interviewed the leader of UKIP. We got a special Rise Above interview with the leader of UKIP. This is being released on Sunday night, and this guy is no normal fucking political puppet.
He was playing fucking Auslander. He was playing the Auslander tune,
dancing around like Donald Trump, dressed like a 1940s fascist.
Yes,
and we were right there in the thick of it.
Yeah, it was
right.
Rise
Rise Above was right there. It was a big day for us. We got some really amazing footage, and like
Falcone's so much better than Farage or
much better character.
Like, he's my favourite political.
Now listen, we're not going all political and voting for people. What we're doing is we are documenting this phenomenon of this rise on one side of the Christian right.
Yes.
And Andy coined it on Patreon weeks ago when we first came across this Tenconi guy. He said this guy is the leader of the new far Christian right.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. A few clips went out onto TikTok. Before we know it, 20,000 views on these clips. I was like, wow, with this guy, there's something about him. And then before we know it, he's right. We were walking through the crowd at the right wing end, weren't we?
Yeah.
And someone got on the mic, and I was like, straight away, I was like, that is. We called him Falcone because
his name's Nick Tenconi.
But he's like an Italian gangster.
Yeah.
I thought Falcone was better, so we just call him Falcone. I was like, that is Falcone on the mic, and he's like, Andy PG's like, nah, it's not. I was like, it is. Listen. And he perked zero. He's like, fucking hell,
went
it
and
is.
found him.
And we went and found him, got behind him, spoke to his minders, and then we got an exclusive interview. And we asked him questions that he didn't get asked by anyone else.
He's never been asked those 3 questions that I asked him.
Yeah. You can. It's coming. The whole thing is on Patreon on Sunday night. We can't stress it enough. Let me just get the QR code on the screen. It's an hour and 33 minutes. And AJ is such a badass. Not only did we have like the microphone, the proper big camera, AJ captured stuff slyly on his phone when we were talking to the police that we didn't even know. When we watched the footage back, we were like, mate, this is proper.
We found the communist signs, the guy that was responsible for bringing it all in, and like the sound system and all that.
Yeah, you might have seen the
Party.
clip that's gone proper viral, hundreds of thousands of views, where we clocked one of the leaders of the far left like movement there with his big sign of Soros signs.
This was about a good hour before it
This
started.
is before we even had the cameras. It was just captured on the phone. It was a big day for Rise Above. So yeah, going forward, we're going to be doing more stuff like that, guys. We're going to be going out of the studio more, and I hate to say it, this stuff will not be going on YouTube in its entirety. It will be coming to YouTube later, and it will have stuff cut out of it. You have to be on Patreon to get this kind of content. We're spending money on producing this content now. We're employing proper videographers, cameramen. So the emphasis is me and PG can concentrate on doing what we do best. We don't have to be fumbling around with equipment. I don't have to spend hours editing. We're now investing the money from Patreon into getting this content. And it is, well, you said it. We were looking at some of the big YouTubers with 500,000 followers, and they were doing the same stuff as us, going trying to interview people. Our content was twice as good.
Fucking Constant from Trigonometry went and did what we did to try and interview both sides of the protest, and his video was shit. It was shit.
It was dry compared to us. We didn't even need to do anything. The content was just spewing out everywhere around us. It's fucking
Moist as
epic.
fuck, just dripping all over us.
Yeah, so listen, I don't need to stress it enough. When we go quiet on YouTube, you want some more Rise Above, you need to be on Patreon.
And fuck me, with the hostility of some of those lefties, we might need to employ some security.
Yeah, also, for this reason, we need to actually be behind a paywall, because maybe we don't want everyone watching what we're saying and what we're planning and what we're telling you is coming up, because we will be on certain very toxic, jealous people's radars.
Very, very special.
I found out that I'm available on that special day as well.
You're actually Michael.
Michael, gosh. Yeah. If Andy PG's plan, which he has pre-cognified on Patreon, we haven't released it yet.
No one's done it yet.
It's going to be epic. But as well as your £3 a month, you get like 10% off everything on the website. You get discounts on event tickets.
£3, guys.
And apart from that, it's like we are now in a place where we haven't just covered our costs. We can actually start properly investing money into real badass content, as well as cameras and stuff like that. Nice one, Chris. He's saying, yeah, great work, lads. Right, let's see what else we've got. Soros Vikings. Ryan Sanders, send them home. Great. That's classic.
Yeah, mate, that's amazing.
Sorosian Caliphate. Look, that pile of signs is so funny, right? Because this meme was made weeks before we went last Saturday. And for anyone that's seen the viral clip, the pile of signs that we caught that guy with is absolutely identical to the pile of signs in the meme. It's like this meme. Like it pre'd the event. We had this.
We programmed.
Yeah, we programmed the simulation to give us some epic content based on this meme. Right, Ryan Sanders, send them home. Fabian Society meme. We've already done that one. Big shout out to Seema Dragon. We've already done this one. Okay, so on the same note, obviously, you know, the Sorosian Caliphate, the boatmen epidemic, the migrant 19 crisis, as it's now called.
Yeah.
Right? It's so funny to be on the mic around regular people.
We are
reporting live from the front line of the migrant 19 crisis.
We definitely got some dodgy looks and some smiles from the police.
Yeah. Well, Rise Above splits the crowd right down the middle, as it should.
Yes.
It's never going to be universally popular, Andy PG.
It's like Baphomet.
Yeah.
Duality.
Right. Daily Mail. Embarrassment for queer Stalin. His top aide, who told the PM he had to smash smuggling gangs. It's revealed his father's firm was handed a $6 million deal to house radical boatmen. This is from the 2nd of August, so this is actually a few weeks old.
It's clearly racist.
I'd say that's a bit of a conflict of interest queer Stalin.
So gay.
Well, it's a bit of a conflict of interest for his top aide, really. Smash those smuggling gangs, but keep my £6 million for housing them. Probably working. He's probably got working with Serco. He's got a Serco franchise or something. Oh, this is totally random. I don't know if this should. I didn't even realise this was still here. Freedom Soldier Coop-tastic. He was the one that made the video.
With the different flavours.
About this guy. He had the video about the guy from the Shield that we showed on Patreon.
Right.
With
I
the
thought you were referring to the Mountain Dew.
Oh well, that's what we're going to refer to now. Right. Yeah. So we've did almost the whole show about Mountain Dew.
Well, it was very trendy at the time.
It was, but there was a what did
was
we
that
call
from?
it?
That was from Hawaii, wasn't it? From
I'm
Maui.
sure we can say Maui now. No one cares about it anymore. But when that unexplained combustible phenomenon happened in Maui, and everyone was, people calling it a Mountain Dew and making memes with Jews in and stuff. But then this phenomenon about Mountain Dew and what was on the cans and like the new editions that were coming out, there was like a Maui Blast. And then we looked at it, we did like literally 5 minutes and we got Maui, but I don't know, Crescendo or something. Baja Blast. Baja was also... Yeah, okay, get it up. So there was multiple weather events that were linked with what was on the can of the Mountain Dew, and people were saying, "Is this like predictive programming? Is it precognifying the event?" So this one, DEW, a direct energy weapon, pitch black, blackout, right in your face. So this is the new flavour, pitch black, blackout punch.
Yeah, Michael. Liberty Brew.
Share the screen.
Voltage.
Whack that over there.
Yeah.
We come on 4 screens now, PG.
Yeah, let's do it.
No slacking.
Let's play that up. Share, Michael.
Yeah. Entire screen. There you go. You got to click the right hand screen.
That's it. Share.
So this is all the different flavours. We'll make that massive. Can you read those out?
So we've got.
It's clearer on that screen.
We've got Baja Blast.
That's it.
Merry something I can't remember. Frostbite. I can't read that one. Arctic Frost. Tropical Smash. Voltage. USA. South Africa, maybe. I don't know.
USA.
Yeah. USA. I can't read the rest of it. I can't read the rest of it.
So anyway, you get the idea. Maybe this one could be... let me just get rid of that screen. Sorry. Let me just get rid of that one. Maybe this one, this blackout, but could be pertaining to the electric... Well, wait a minute. Didn't we have blackouts earlier this summer in Europe across multiple countries? Like the biggest electric power cuts in living history.
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't national, though, was it?
Well, it was but it was across 5 different countries, wasn't it? Like Spain, Poland, but not the whole country.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Right, so this is quite an interesting one. On Patreon, big up the Patreon gang, on Sunday nights, which is one of the 2 videos a week, we do like a watch party where we watch a documentary and we stop it and break it down. Or we do an evening with where we present multiple videos about a character. Usually,
we showcase a Clown World character.
A Clown World character, usually someone to do with the Holy Peasant War.
Shout out to Rabbi Shmoody.
We did one last week. It was called the Far Right. The Far White.
Far White, Michael.
And about a movement called Return to the Land, where these people that are white separatists. There's about 30 or 40 of them. They've got this land in the Ozarks, in the middle of nowhere in Arkansas. And it's basically it's a private group. It's for white people only. No one that's not white. No Jews. No black people. No gays.
No, nothing.
Obviously, it's getting loads and loads of heat. We watched a documentary about it, broke it down, see what we thought. Now,
thought they looked pretty chilled.
they did look pretty chilled, and I said,
bit weird, mate, with German flute at the end.
The problem is you're a fucking retard.
That was very loud.
Some of them were a bit weird, but like I said, if that's what they want to do on their own private land, I respect their right to do it. But anyway, a lot of people are obviously kicking off about it, right? But I thought this was quite interesting, just for a bit of comparison. Borough Park, New York, has 117,000 Orthodox, you-know-who's living amongst each other on 3.3 square miles. They even have a taxpayer-funded police force.
Of course.
But I'm supposed to care about 40 white people that want to live alone on 150 acres in the Ozarks.
That's a good point, Michael.
It's a very good point. It's a very good
Considering
point.
the size of the states.
Yeah, 3.3 square miles. That's quite a big area, isn't it? A square mile.
Ginormous, mate.
Yeah. I don't know how that relates to 150 acres. Which one's bigger? 3.3 square miles.
No, 3.3 square miles is bigger than 150 acres.
Is it?
Yeah, fucking right.
Okay,
it
cool.
is, yeah.
I wasn't sure. Right. So yeah, if you want to see our breakdown of the documentary about Return to the Land, the 40 white separatists that live on 150 acres in Ozarks, you need to sub to Patreon. It's on Patreon and it's available right now, as well as hundreds of other videos that we'll never see on YouTube.
Shout out to Matt. He's just subscribed to Patreon.
Oh,
Word to your nan, Matt.
Who's bought tickets to the event tonight?
Right,
First names only.
We have.
Did that person that their order failed? Did it work in the end?
Yes, I think. Yeah, that's right. Somebody's bought some Crooks playing cards here. Francis.
Oh, they've bought the.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to send
Coviot playing
I have to
cards.
send some money to Edmund for those. Those are not
who
made
we
by
got
us.
Here? Andrew.
Big shout to Andrew. He's got a ticket to the Rise Above Weekender. See you there, mate.
And Neil.
Neil, see you at the Rise Above Weekender. Was there a third one?
No, that's it. Oh no, Nigel. His has failed.
Nigel, you tried to buy a ticket, but the order failed. Try again, and if you have a problem, mate, you can email me directly at riseabovelivestream@gmail.com.
Do you want to just say something about rooms, Lance?
Yeah, I will, absolutely. And if you, for any reason, can't use the website, you can just do a PayPal or a direct bank transfer, and I'll put you on the guest list. Here is the email address. Anyone that has any problem with buying a ticket from the website, you just email me. We'll do a little transfer. I'll put your name on the list, and I'll send you an email with all the details if you find the website difficult. It's also worth mentioning there are still some rooms left at the hotel, and the hotel are very, very keen to fill up all the rooms for the event, so the hotel's full. They are doing discounts. The only way you can book the hotel is to call them. I'm just going to put the number on the screen. Hold on.
This is a direct line to our.
This is the
Ramesh
only
enclave.
way you can book the hotel for the weekender. You can't book it online because the whole hotel is booked out by us. So if you go onto booking.com or anything like that, it will just say, no, it's not available. So you've got to call this number, 316-316. Let me just put that on the screen. There are rooms available at the hotel, and they are doing discounts because they want to get them full, and it's only a week to go.
It's a 33 and a 66 in their telephone number.
Of course.
And the two pillars.
Of course. And there's checkerboards and a picture of Michael Jackson as
Yes,
you walk
mate,
in.
yes, of
We
course
love
there
this.
is,
We
nice.
love Hotel Celebrity. And it's so funny because like when we use Hotel Celebrity as our little base when we go to town, basically. It's our little like Ramish enclave. So yeah, guys, let's be generous. Let's do
It's
a
convenient.
ticket.
It's just around the corner from the migrant hotel.
Yeah, it's
convenient
fantastic.
base.
It's very convenient. It's right near this. It's right near the town centre and the cliff top as well. So it is very convenient and very close to the train station. Let's do a little competition. In fact, it's not a competition. It's just a prize draw. If you would like to win 2 tickets to the event, that's a pair of tickets worth £50 each for the whole weekend. 3 days of engaging talks, panel discussions, Raw Academy, after parties, you name it.
I'm going to be bringing my Star of David snow globe. It's going to be there. You can shake it.
I wonder what amazing gifts we're going to get from the Ramesh
might
community
get
this
something
time. I
nice.
wonder if we get any special gifts. Right, we're giving away a pair of tickets. To enter the prize draw, all you have to do is email riseabovelivestream@gmail.com.
And tell us why you think Tomek Rabinstein is a Jewish shill. No, I'm joking. You don't have to do
No,
that.
you just need to email your name and we will put it into a draw. And within the next couple of days, we will email you back to tell you if you've won and your name will be on the guest list. So once again, there are 2 tickets available for this is next weekend, August Bank Holiday Weekender. 3 days of fun and informative Ramishness with the Ramish community in its second home, Hotel Celebrity.
I'll be there.
We'll be there, party with us. Gyros is on me on Friday night. Someone's saying invite Charlie Veach down. I think he might split the crowd a little
Yeah,
bit.
he might, yeah,
he's
yeah,
a little bit of a controversial character. I like his videos.
I like his videos.
But
Some of them are annoying, and he's a
But
Zionist.
he is a staunch Zionist, which is something I can't really get down with. Let's get the screen back to normal. So yeah, I will just remind you, 2 tickets are up for grabs. Email us at riseabovelivestream@gmail.com, and we'll tell you in a couple of days if you want them and you're on the guest list.
The most listeners, viewers we had tuned in tonight was 333.
I saw that. We've still got 255 in, and we've still got 10 minutes to go. Right, I thought this was quite interesting.
Blow it up, Michael. What we got here?
I had no idea that this had even happened in the first place. Did you know that during the BLM riots, the statue of Albert Pike, the 33rd degree Freemason, was actually torn down by BLM? Did you know that?
I did not know that. Man.
Trump has ordered the installation of a new statue in Washington, D.C. of Albert Pike, a Confederate general who supported slavery, was allegedly involved in the KKK, and said only the white race is fit to govern. And Albert Pike also said, whenever the people need a hero, we shall supply him. His most famous quote.
Yes.
I just thought this was really, if this is true, I don't even know how out of date this is. I didn't even know this statue had come down. So I think this is just quite an interesting, fun little data point that Trump is putting back up the statue of Albert Pike. How fitting, how ironic. When people were arguing about immigration and boatmen and stuff like that on Facebook this week, I tried to stay out of it. But one thing I noticed is people were talking about the reason so many immigrants are coming to the UK, and obviously they blame it on the British Empire. They said, this is why there's so many coming here. Look how large our empire was. How large was the empire, Andy PG?
It was 33.7 million, Michael. Kilometres squared.
Yeah, it's funny. And it says we've got the British Empire. Look how small the Roman Empire is. It's at the bottom. So the Mongol Empire was the second biggest. Russian
or Tartaria.
Yeah, Tartaria is not on there. But if you put the Russian and the Mongol Empire together, then you could say, and maybe the Qing
and the Ottoman,
maybe the Qing dynasty too, and the Ottoman Empire. Maybe it's all the same thing. But anyway, I googled it, and apparently the British Empire was 35 million kilometres, so they lied and made it 33 for the purposes of this meme. Yeah, thanks Pamela Swan. Email riseabovelivestream@gmail.com to win tickets for the Hotel Weekender. And also, don't forget, hotel rooms are still available at a discounted rate. We need to get the hotel filled. People have stayed all over the place this time, instead of following the very simple instructions in the ticket. Call the hotel. People are going on to booking.com saying the hotel's full. We've gone somewhere else. I was like, no, it's not.
Wait, where's my password?
We've booked the whole hotel.
The problem is you're a fucking retard.
When you buy the ticket on the website, it clearly says, call this number. This is the only way to book. But, anyway.
It's clearly racist.
Andy PG, do you remember in September 2024 when we went to Serbia on the border of Makwifa land?
Well, somebody asked us, Lance, what is the next thing that we need to be considerably worried about?
Is it a pandemic? Is it a pandemic lockdown? And what did we say?
We said a climate lockdown, Michael.
We said, yeah, maybe it'll be a climate lockdown. Maybe it'll be a riot lockdown or whatever. Last week, I think it was, again, on Patreon, we were talking about, you brought a video for the midweek Raw showing, actually, it's the one that comes out on Wednesday. It hasn't come out yet. Canada fining people $25,000 if they go into the woods.
Plus tax.
Well, yeah, because it comes out $27,500.
And 50 cents.
For going into the woods because there's a likelihood that you might start a forest fire. So climate lockdowns, essentially. And obviously the woods is not just small woods there. We're talking about thousands of acres, massive tracts of land.
You have stolen my childhood.
Quite literally.
We're talking Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, rewilding of the land, keeping the peasants away from nature. This infographic came on our lap. We shared it, and I shared it, and I said, me and Andy PG called this. You know the gist.
Yeah.
Me and Andy PG called this phenomenon back last year. The truth and naysayers jump in. Have you even read the article about what happened in Belgium? I said no, because I'm talking about a theme. I'm talking about a gist of the PG coined it. He said these climate lockdowns will be incrementally introduced, trialed in various different forms. Maybe it'll be traffic, maybe it'll stop entering the woods, maybe it'll be this, maybe it'll be that.
Climate related.
All climate related until it's widely introduced.
Once it's proven to work and the experts approve it.
The beta soy boy naysayers were trying to say that I was sharing things unverified, whereas they don't understand.
You're a fucking retard.
That the Ramesh rabbit connoisseur doesn't work in the devilish detail.
I don't need to Google anything, mate.
We don't. We work in just based off the back of the caliber of a 10k understanding. So when I look at something like this, I don't need to look at the details of the article of what happened in the town, which is called Knokke, funnily enough, in Belgium, where what actually happened was they stopped all cars from outside entering a city on the hottest days of the summer. Some people that made the video were saying it's to stop climate change, which was obviously one of the things on the table. The article, which the naysayer brought to me, was like, it was to stop traffic congestion. Yeah. But the fact is, the issue is they were stopping people with roadside checks from entering a place due to the weather. Do you not see that? And this is the problem with a lot of people, even that claim to be paying attention or awake. It's that they can't accept when people work with the gist. The general gist will always get you to where you want to go. This is how we've worked on Rise Above for years now.
Right from the start, 5 years, Michael.
And this is how
5 years this month.
This is how consistently we've managed to be at least 18 months ahead of what's happening. Usually through backhanded jokes, sly remarks, satire, memes. But the jokes that we were making back in 2021, by 2023 they were happening.
Yeah.
You know, literally happening. They're coming out in peer-reviewed articles about what the truth about the Britney Spears was. All the jokes we were making. So when we talk about stuff like this, yeah, okay, you can argue about the details of what happened in Belgium, but the fact is this is now a phenomenon. 25. Someone else was saying it was happening in Nova Scotia too.
Yeah.
So watch this space. We talked about it before last year.
Look at all the wildfires we've been having in the UK, right? When did we ever get fucking wildfires in the UK? When we had a warm springtime, it was like 20 degrees or 18 degrees, and there was a fire near to where we are locally at Moores Valley, and it was all over the news saying it was due to the heat wave. 18, 20 degrees is not a heat wave, especially to cause a wildfire.
Even when you've got a heat wave, all that does is make the ground dry. It doesn't make the fire happen on its own.
No.
I lived near a heathland when I was a kid, and there were fires all the time over Ham Common. Fire engines rushing up there. Every single time it was kids that had lit a fire when it was already dry. Never once was it a fire has miraculously happened because the weather's so hot.
But it's the way they're reporting on it as well. Do you know what I mean? They're pumping it in there all the time about heat waves. It's just summertime. It's just summer. That's all it is.
Right, that's it. We need to wrap it up. Like I said, guys, we have absolutely caned it in the last 2 weeks. We've got a mountain of content still to release. All of it is going on Patreon first, starting on Sunday night.
I've got like another 6 shows of Patreon planned already.
We've got so much coming on Patreon, but we have to take a break from the live show. Just to recapitulate, we'll come back in October. There will be
some awesome guests.
There will be some sort of Friday broadcast. I might start putting slightly longer clips from Patreon of little bits to give you a taste of some of the stuff we're doing there. What do you reckon?
To tease the peasants in, Michael.
Yeah, so watch this space.
Give them some crumbs.
I can't stress enough. If you want to keep up to date with what we're talking about, you need to go over to Patreon. Scan the QR code. Some of the stuff is on there for free, but you unlock everything for only £3 a month. Also, merch. You know what to do. There's new designs all the time. And next week, if you want to come and party with us in the flesh...
The problem is you're fucking...
Yo, it's Mr... Wow, that went really wrong.
Major fail, Andy PG. If you want to come and party with us in the flesh, party with the ultimate party animal, Martin Leaker. If you want to witness the first ever panel discussion with Martin Leaker, RKX, and allegedly Dave
Michael
on the Sunday... If you want to be entertained by Johnny Fogg, one of our meme masters, serenading you with his guitar in between talks, etc., Raw Academy, after parties, Inspector Veg, Ryan Sanders, Magic's Boomer Disco, Manic, Double LMC, Andy PG.
Raw.
Right, big shout out to all the Ramish community.
Word to everyone's nan.
We'll see you at the event. We'll see you at the event, and we'll see you on Patreon. We will be back with live shows in October. Let's just play an advert to say see you later. Word to you, Nizzle.
Come and experience a world-class lineup of guest speakers at the next Rise Above Live in the Flesh August Bank Holiday Hotel Weekender, featuring Martin Litka, Wisdom of Mushrooms, Graham Moore, Richard Ryder, Toroidal Dynamics, Inspector Veg, Marcus Payne, Ryan Sanders, Tom W's, and allegedly Dave Murphy. You won't want to miss out on these speakers exposing the peasantry that is Clown World. Exclusively at our Rise Above Live in the Flesh Part 2 Bank Holiday Hotel Weekender on the 22nd, 23rd and 24th of August. Don't be a peasant and get your tickets on our website today. On Sunday, the 24th of August, we will be joined virtually by the final boss at the bottom of the rabbit hole, Jason Breaches of Archaics. For the first time ever, he will be in a three-way panel discussion with Martin Liedtke and Dave Murphy. Come and join us live in the flesh to be a part